Chapter 1288. In the Red Phoenix Galaxy, in front of the passage between the two realms, the demon body walked out and entered without hesitation. After a few years, knowing destiny came to the primordial demon realm again. In order to improve his strength, he was fearless. A few days later, in the primordial demon realm, where thousands of heavenly demons were buried, Ning-Chen appeared and killed the guardians of the graveyard with a thunderous force. "I'll leave it to you." Ning-Chen waved his hand to shake off the blood on his hand and walked forward. Behind him, a chilly wind howled. Thousands of heavenly demons flew out like hungry tigers and pounced on the guardians of the graveyard who had died in battle. It was a shocking scene. A king realm heavenly demon was devoured in a few breaths. Not even his corpse was left. In the depths of the graveyard, Ning-Chen stopped and looked at the tombs in front of him. A cold look flashed across his face. "Apart from these 10 tombs, you can devour as much of the heavenly demon origin as you can," Ning-Chen said coldly. "Thank you, Master." In the graveyard, thousands of heavenly demons responded. Then, they separated and flew toward the tombs in the distance. In the depths of the graveyard, in front of the 10 tombs, Ning-Chen's demonic aura surged. He blasted the tombs open with his powerful force. In the tombs, 10 king realm heavenly demons lay in their coffins. When they were alive, they were dominators. After their deaths, their bodies were immortal and they slept forever. The chi and blood in the 10 king realm heavenly demons had already withered. Only the scorching heavenly demon origin was still intact. "Ha!" With a deep shout, Ning-Chen's demonic aura spread out and devoured the 10 heavenly demons, forcibly taking their heavenly demon origin. Without cultivating the 9 serenities heaven-devouring demon scripture, when Ning-Chen forcibly took the heavenly demon origin, most of the heavenly demon origin was scattered between heaven and earth. The devouring efficiency was less than 20%. However, there were pros and cons to everything. When the heavenly demon origin entered the body, only the purest energy was left. All the memories and negative emotions were scattered between heaven and earth along with the unusable heavenly demon origin. Before long, the heavenly demon origin in the 10 king realm heavenly demons dried up. Violent demonic aura surged in the surroundings. Most of the 10 heavenly demons' energy dissipated. Heaven and earth couldn't bear it and shook violently. Thousands of heavenly demons in the graveyard sensed it and immediately flew back into the soul-suppressing banner. Ning-Chen waved his hand and took the soul-subduing banner. Then he walked out of the graveyard. Not long after the devil body left, several king realm cultivators appeared in front of the devil burial ground. They looked at the graveyard that was riddled with holes, and their faces were filled with shock. "Immediately report this to the 2 demon emperors," one of the heavenly demons in the king realm said in a deep voice. "Yes." Behind him, a heavenly demon received the order and immediately rushed towards the 3 imperial city. The demon burial ground had been destroyed, and all the heavenly demon origins had been taken away. This was something that had never happened before. Even the kings of the celestial demon imperial family would not dare to do such a thing. In the celestial devil imperial city, in front of the 3 sovereigns' palace, a king realm celestial devil appeared and half knelt. "Greetings, devil emperors." As soon as he finished speaking, demonic chi surged in front of the 3 emperors' palace. 2 peerless demonic cultivators walked out, and their dignified voices resounded. "What's the matter?" "Your Majesty, not long ago, the devil burial ground was destroyed and all the heavenly demon origins were taken away. We don't know who the murderer is yet," the king's domain heavenly demon answered truthfully. In front of the 3 emperors' palace, the 2 demon emperors, Kuan 1 and 7 luminaries demon emperors' faces darkened when they heard this. How could such a thing happen? This was outrageous. "Messenger," Demon Emperor Kuan 1 said. "Yes, Your Majesty." The messenger showed up at the bottom of the 9,000 stone steps and bowed respectfully. "Send someone to investigate this immediately. If necessary, I'll allow you to mobilize the king realm experts in the imperial army." Demon Emperor Kuan 1 said in a deep voice. He waved his right hand, and a black Demon Emperor token appeared and flew forward. "Yes, Your Majesty." The messenger accepted the order and took the demon emperor token. Then he turned around and left. Brother, who do you think did this? 7 luminaries demon emperor asked in front of the 3 emperors' palace. We don't have a clue yet. The number of heavenly demons buried in the devil burial ground is shocking. Although these heavenly demons are dead, their origins haven't completely dissipated. If someone wants to use them, it'll be quite troublesome, Demon Emperor Kuan replied. There aren't many people who have the guts and strength to break into the devil burial ground. It won't be easy to find this person, 7 luminaries demon emperors said seriously. It doesn't matter. Demon Emperor Kuan said seriously, since this person has done it once, it's very likely that he'll do it again. As long as he leaves behind any clues, I'll be able to find him. 7 luminaries demon emperor nodded. In these troubled times, there would definitely be many rascals in the demonic realm who would want to take advantage of the chaos. In troubled times, they had to use heavy methods. As long as they found this person, they would kill him without mercy. In the southwest of the primordial demon realm, in the territory of the Golden Light Royal City, knowing destiny appeared. He went straight to the royal mausoleum of the Golden Light Demon tribe and devoured the previous kings of this branch. It was a shocking scene. Demonic winds blew above the royal mausoleum, and thousands of heavenly demons howled. It was a shocking scene. At the center of the thousands of heavenly demons, the demon body stood still. Its demonic chi surged and devoured the corpses of the 4 kings. How dare you! At this moment, a powerful king aura burst out in the Golden Light Royal City. A heavenly demon surrounded by golden light appeared. In a few breaths' time, it dashed forward. An extremely powerful palm strike came with earth-shattering force. The current Golden Light King had attacked. His palm strike was shocking. In the royal mausoleum, the demon body sensed it. He turned around and countered with a palm strike. Boom! The 2 kings clashed and the world changed. They had just met, and their combat power was on full display. Unexpectedly, the female demon, the most powerful Golden Light King in history, condensed Yuan with her slender hands. Thousands of heavenly demons immediately retreated, not daring to face the 2 kings. 13th Prince. Seeing the face of the person who came, the Golden Light King's face was filled with anger. His right palm activated 30% of Yuan, mercilessly attacking. A shocking expert. The current Golden Light King displayed shocking ability. His palm strike was earth-shattering, and it was not inferior to Luo Jia and Xian Lai, who were famous for their palm techniques. The heavenly demon tribe is indeed full of hidden talents. Ning Chen said with a grave expression as he looked at the Golden Light King in front of him and separated the 2 of them. The strength of this Golden Light King was indeed beyond his expectations. She had such amazing strength and was still willing to stay in a corner. This woman was extraordinary. The Golden Light Royal Tribe has no grudge against you. 13th Prince, you've gone too far. The Golden Light King could not hide the anger in his eyes. The golden light and demonic chi on his body intensified. He turned his palm and attacked again. See you. Not willing to fight for a long time, Ning Chen stomped his foot and quickly retreated. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared. You can't leave. In the royal tomb, the Golden Light King looked at the back of the former. He could not suppress the anger in his eyes. He rushed out and quickly chased after him. In the next few days, the 2 chased after each other. Their direction kept changing, and they crossed more than half of the primordial demon realm without stopping. In the next few days, the heavenly demon royal tribe suffered again wherever they passed. The royal tombs were blasted open, and the origin of the former kings was forcefully taken away. The actions of the demonic body quickly aroused the anger of all the royal tribes in the primordial demon realm. Countless experts were dispatched to kill the heavenly demon tribe. It's the 13th Prince. He's back. In the heavenly demon ancestral land, the 7 luminaries demon emperor said in a deep voice. Since this brat provoked us, let him stay in the primordial demon realm forever, the first Kunyi demon emperor said coldly. The Golden Light King of the Golden Light Royal Tribe has amazing strength. It's beyond our expectations. Now that Xian Mo and Azura are still in the heavens beyond, Why don't we give the responsibility of killing the 13th prince to this woman? The 7 luminaries demon emperor suggested. Sure. The first Kunyi demon emperor nodded and said, if necessary, we can give her some help. Understood. The 7 luminaries demon emperor nodded and agreed. In the southeast of the primordial demon realm, Ningchen was chased by the Golden Light King for several days. He fought as he fled. In the past few days, more and more King Realm experts came from all over the demon realm. The unprecedented scene shocked the entire primordial demon realm. A few days later, Ningchen fought his way out of the encirclement and headed north. More than a dozen kings and the Golden Light King, who was at the peak of the King Realm, worked together for several days, but they still could not trap the knowing destiny demonic body who had unleashed his full combat strength. While the primordial demon realm was in chaos, in the center of the sorcerer tribe's sacred land in the northern continent, on the central altar, the sorcerer tribe's current emperor, Tian Exen, stood quietly. She looked at the distant primordial demon realm with a solemn look in her beautiful and intelligent eyes. The 13th prince had returned. Since the first time they met on the Blood Moon ancient battlefield, the 13th prince had shocked her time and time again. He fought against the entire primordial demon realm by himself. Now that she thought about it, it was unbelievable. Your Majesty. The Dark Moon Witch Empress bowed respectfully before the altar. He's back, Tian Exen said calmly. I'll give you 2 choices. First, help him escape. Second, help the heavenly demons kill this man. I won't interfere with your choice. The Dark Moon Witch Empress was stunned. She looked at the Sorcerer Emperor in front of her with disbelief. What did the Sorcerer Emperor mean? Go. Tian Exen waved her hand. Yes. The Dark Moon Witch Empress bowed respectfully and turned to leave. On the central altar, Tian Exen sighed softly. She still could not see the outcome of the war between the primordial demon realm and the human tribe. She could not see the future of the sorcerer tribe. This time, even she could not see it clearly. In the northern border of the primordial demon realm, the cold moon shone high in the sky. Ningchen, who had fought his way out of the encirclement time and time again, sat quietly in front of a bonfire. It was the first time he had stopped to rest in more than 10 days. In half a month, he had traveled through almost half of the primordial demon realm and blasted open countless tombs. There was a trace of exhaustion in Ningchen's eyes. He stared at the bonfire in front of him and was absent-minded for a moment. At this moment, the Dark Moon Witch Empress walked over from afar. She had a complicated expression and hesitated. In front of the bonfire, Ningchen came back to his senses and looked at the woman walking over in the night. He asked calmly, "Kill each other?" "I haven't thought about it yet." The Dark Moon Witch Empress replied and walked to the bonfire. She sat down and said, "It wasn't easy to fight for 10 years of peace. Why did you come back?" 10 years is too short. Ningchen took a piece of dry wood and put it in the bonfire. He said calmly, "Emperor Go did me a favor. If possible, I don't want to be enemies with the sorcerer tribe. However, if the sorcerer tribe threatens me, I won't show mercy." Chapter 1289. In the middle of the night, a bonfire danced on the boundless wilderness, illuminating the dark world. 2 figures sat facing each other in front of the bonfire, talking for a long time. "Have you made up your mind?" Ningchen glanced at the woman in front of him and said calmly, "Friend or foe, it's all up to you." The Dark Moon Witch Empress was silent. After a long time, she looked up at the demonic clouds that were rapidly approaching and said, "You should leave. They're almost here." Ningchen narrowed his eyes and said, "In the future, I hope the witch tribe can avoid the war between the 2 realms. The flames of war are merciless. Once on the battlefield, no one can show mercy." "I understand." The Dark Moon Witch Empress nodded. "We'll meet again." Ningchen stood up, said a few words of farewell, and then turned to leave. Not long after the demonic body left, demonic clouds appeared in the distant horizon. Golden light shone from within the demonic clouds as a woman with golden light descended from the sky. She looked like a goddess of war, heroic and imposing. The Dark Moon Witch Empress sat quietly in front of the bonfire, looking at the Golden Light King descending from the sky. Her expression was calm. "Where is he?" the Golden Light King asked. "Tilif." The Dark Moon Witch Empress said calmly. "Why didn't you stop him?" the Golden Light King asked with a solemn expression. "Golden Light King has been chasing him for so long. Can you stop him?" the Dark Moon Witch Empress asked calmly. The Golden Light King's expression turned cold. He clenched his fists so hard that they cracked. After a while, the Golden Light King suppressed his anger and calmed down. He took a deep look at the woman in front of him and walked away. In front of the bonfire, the Dark Moon Witch Empress picked up a withered branch and placed it in the bonfire. She looked at the dancing flames and sighed. She did not know if her choice was right or wrong. She only knew that she did not like war, especially the naked invasion of the primordial demon realm. After sitting quietly for a long time, the Dark Moon Witch Empress waved her hand to extinguish the bonfire in front of her. She got up quietly and left. In the northern region, the Golden Light King's figure flitted across the boundless wilderness, chasing after the 13th prince. In the distance, Ning Chen walked alone. His pace seemed unhurried, but every step he took brought him thousands of miles away. At the same time, heavenly demon kings from all over the demonic domain rushed over, forming an encirclement. In the east, when the sun was about to rise, Ning Chen frowned as he looked at the approaching demonic clouds. He caught up again. He was really fast. The devils that came from all directions were all above the king realm, and their auras were extremely shocking. After pausing for a moment, Ning Chen changed his direction and headed south. "He's here." In the southern part of the Grand Wilderness, the three king realm cultivators sensed the powerful aura coming from the front. Their faces turned serious, and they were on full alert. 100 miles away, Ning Chen's figure flashed past. His right hand clenched into a fist. Demonic chi surged, and the ghost sword appeared out of thin air, emitting a terrifying sword light. Under the rising sun, a dazzling sword light tore through the void and slashed at the three celestial demons in front of him. In the blink of an eye, 100 li away, the man and the sword arrived at the same time. Their world-shocking might was unprecedented. The three demons focused their attention and joined forces to forcefully block this attack. With a rumble, the sword light shook the three demons. An earth-shattering vibration was heard, and the three demons flew out together with their shocking sword power. In an instant, Ning Chen's figure rushed forward. The ghost sword moved rhythmically, mercilessly. In the center of the three demons, one of them narrowed his eyes. Before he could stabilize his body, the sword light arrived again. The powerful sword strike was like a bolt of lightning entering the sea. Tens of thousands of stormy waves surged past, shattering the void within 100 li. The aftermath of the attack made the King Realm cultivator groan, and his figure flew out again. Sky shattering. After the first two strikes, the third strike was launched. It was even more powerful than the previous two strikes. With a rumble, the third strike swept past. The King Realm cultivator finally could not resist it. His body exploded, and blood and bones flew all over the sky. One of the celestial demons died in battle. Before the other two celestial demons could fill the gap, Ning Chen had already rushed out and left quickly. He escaped again. The two King Realm cultivators looked at Ning Chen's back, and their expressions were extremely ugly. Soon, a golden light descended from the sky behind them. The Golden Light King had arrived. Looking at the battlefield that was full of holes, his eyes were abnormally murderous. This kid was extremely cunning. So many of them could not catch him. In the heavenly demon ancestral land, the messenger half knelt. In front of him, two peerless demons stood quietly. Their auras were as vast as the sea, shocking the world. Failed again? The seven luminaries demon emperor frowned and said in a deep voice. So many King Realm cultivators and the Golden Light King, who was at the peak of the King Realm, still could not trap him. Send out the commanders of the Imperial Guards, the first Kunyi demon emperor said calmly. Yes. The messenger was shocked to hear this, but he immediately accepted the order respectfully. The great commander Xianemo was far away in the realm beyond heaven. The strongest forces guarding the heavenly demon imperial city were the other commanders. Now, even these people had to be mobilized. An hour later, the Heavenly Demon token appeared in the Heavenly Demon Imperial City. The 4 commanders of the Imperial Guards left together and headed north. Not long after the 4 commanders of the Imperial Guards left, a young man in black clothes and black hair walked in front of the Heavenly Demon Imperial City. The familiar face gradually changed, and a moment later, it was completely changed. After a few years, Ji Ming had returned to the 3 Imperial City again. However, this time, he was not accepted by the entire primordial demon realm. Everything in the 3 Imperial City was the same as before. Nothing much had changed. Ningchen walked on the street, his deep eyes unperturbed. Inside the Imperial City, there were many mansions, which symbolized the top power of the Heavenly Demon Imperial family. The Heavenly Demon Imperial family had been passed down for hundreds of thousands of years. Its history was so long that it was untraceable. The forces in the Imperial City were complicated, especially the kings who had the royal bloodline. Each of them had their own master, and no one was willing to submit to anyone. Among the mansions, the 9 mansions were the most majestic. Of the 9 kings of the Heavenly Demon Imperial family, 4 had become kings. 4 had died in battle, and the last one, Xian Qi, was fighting outside and had not returned. In the 3rd prince's mansion, Xian Lai, whose Dantian ocean of qi had been destroyed, had recuperated for a few months. His external injuries had basically healed. However, the destroyed ocean of qi was still difficult to repair. The former world's #1 palm master was now no different from a mortal. Besides his strong physical body, there was no trace of genuine qi left. Bang! Inside the mansion, there was the sound of tables and chairs being shattered. Xian Lai stood in the imperial palace, unable to hide the anger on his face. The blow of losing his cultivation had been torturing the former king day after day. Outside the imperial palace, all the servants were kneeling on the ground, their faces pale with fear. No one dared to say a word. Ever since the king had awakened, his temperament had changed drastically. He had become irritable and disagreeable, which was terrifying. The world's #1 palm master is a person whose willpower is so weak. At this moment, a black-clothed, black-haired figure walked in from outside the palace. His steps were steady. Although his appearance was unfamiliar, his deep eyes were so familiar. Inside the imperial palace, Xian Lai's expression froze. After a while, he came back to his senses and looked furious. "It's you!" Chapter 1290. Ning Chen appeared in the residence of the 3rd prince in the Heavenly Demon Imperial City. His changed appearance couldn't hide his murderous intent. After a moment of surprise, Xian Lai immediately guessed the identity of the newcomer, and his expression changed. "It's you!" Xian Lai's expression turned cold as he said in a low voice. "Long time no see, 3rd uncle." Ning Chen said lightly as he clenched his right hand. The ghost sword appeared, and sword qi shook. Time was precious, and there was no time to waste. Ning Chen moved, revealing his murderous intent. Seeing this, Xian Lai immediately retreated, avoiding the fatal sword. His sea of qi was destroyed, but his physical body was still strong. Xian Lai stepped forward, clenched his fist, and punched back. Ning Chen snorted coldly. He gathered yuan in his left palm and met the attack head-on. The fist and the palm collided, and the sky and earth turned upside down. The valiant remnant energy roared, and the entire imperial palace shook violently. After one move, the winner was decided. Xian Lai, who had lost all his cultivation and only had his battle instincts, retreated several steps. His mouth turned red. After gaining the upper hand in one move, Ning Chen rushed forward. The ghost sword pierced through the air, mercilessly attacking. The sword moved quickly, and every move was ruthless. In an instant, Xian Lai's body turned red again. Due to the huge commotion, experts from all over the king's mansion rushed over at high speed. Sky-shattering. 4 imperial realm experts rushed over. Within the imperial palace, Ning Chen waved his sword and blocked the 4 imperial realm experts. The shocking sword qi cut open the void and stopped the 4 imperial realm experts from coming to help. The moment the 4 imperial realm experts retreated, Ning Chen gathered his yuan in his palm again and attacked the 3rd heavenly demon prince. The moment Xianlai received the attack, blood spurted out of his right arm, dyeing his battle robe red. Every move was ruthless and ruthless. Outside the imperial palace, the 4 imperial realm experts rushed over, wanting to solve the crisis of the third prince. Within the palace, Ning Chen's eyes turned cold. The ghost sword turned, and a sword cry filled the sky. Sword! 11 swords in one move, and sword chi poured out like rain. The perfect move of the sword appeared in the world again. As the sword rain approached, the 4 imperial realm experts' expressions changed slightly. They worked together to block the attack. The sword rain passed through, and the 4 imperial realm experts were injured at the same time. Their mouths turned red. The powerful great Xia Jiming Marquis, the sky demon 13 science whose name shook the demon realm, finally showed his shocking ability. He fought 1 against 5 and completely suppressed them. The 4 kings were injured, and it was too late to help. Ning Chen moved and grabbed Xianlai's throat. Demonic chi filled the air and sealed all of Xianlai's major acupoints. Now that he had achieved his goal, Ning Chen didn't want to continue fighting. He slashed open the main hall with his sword and was about to leave. At this moment, the wind and clouds in the 9 heavens changed. An incomparably powerful pressure engulfed the entire imperial city. 13th son, how dare you? The 7 brilliance demon emperor's voice echoed in the 9 heavens. In the next moment, a giant palm descended from the sky. Its terrifying power shattered everything in the world. Down below, Ning Chen's expression turned serious when he saw this. Demonic flames rose rapidly around his body. The 9 underworlds battle technique had appeared. 12 styles of spiritual rhino, sky-propping waterfall. Using the 9 underworlds battle technique, he activated the moon worship ultimate technique, increasing his offensive power by several times. Inside the Wang mansion, raging waves surged, and the demonic aura shook the 9 heavens. The powerful palm faced the sky. He didn't retreat even half a step in the face of an emperor. The world changed color. The terrifying aftershock caused the entire mansion to collapse. The ground cracked for tens of thousands of feet. While the two were fighting, Shen Juyo looked at the third prince's mansion quietly. A complicated light flashed in his eyes. Shen Juyo's disciple could now fight against an imperial Dao expert. After the shocking palm, Ning Chen took a step forward and quickly left with the severely injured Xianlai. In the imperial city, Ning Chen's figure flashed past. The light of time flowed around his body, covering his aura. Above the 9 heavens, demonic clouds covered the sky. The second attack was about to arrive, and the demonic power was even more shocking. Soon, Ning Chen rushed out of the imperial city and rushed toward the east. Boom! At this moment, the demonic power arrived in the sky again. The giant palm blasted open the world and slammed down. Sword! 12. The limitless sword appeared in the world. The sword defied the heavens and was dazzling. As the demonic palm descended, the battle intent in Ning Chen's eyes rose. He used all his strength to block the imperial power again. They clashed head-on, going against the flow to slay immortals. Intense tremors rang out, and the entire world instantly dimmed. In the mighty aftershock, Ning Chen's figure flashed out and quickly left. In the heavenly demon ancestral land, the 7 luminaries demon emperor looked toward the east with an ugly expression. He had let him escape again. The 13th prince's strength was getting more and more shocking. He could even take 2 of his attacks head-on. He took the risk to break into the imperial city just to capture Xianlai? The 7 luminaries demon emperor asked seriously. Xianlai has the royal bloodline and has cultivated various secret techniques of the heavenly demon imperial family. It's not strange for the 13th prince to take the risk, the first Kunyi demon emperor said calmly. This kid is getting bolder. However, since he escaped this time, it won't be easy to catch him again, the 7 luminaries demon emperor said in a deep voice. He will return to the realm beyond heaven eventually. As long as we deploy a large number of troops at the passage between the 2 realms, we won't have to worry about not being able to stop him, the first Kunyi demon emperor said coldly. The 13th prince is making the heavenly demon imperial family mobilize so many troops. How infuriating, the 7 luminaries demon emperor said coldly. If the opponent is this kid, it's worth it. The first Kunyi demon emperor looked to the east and said, have you noticed that the 13th prince is the real leader of the human race in the realm beyond heaven other than that god realm expert? If we can get rid of this kid, the morale of the human race will be greatly damaged. Therefore, no matter how much combat power we have to expend, we have to keep him here. In the east of the primordial demon region, Ning Chen and Xian Lai sped past. They sped up in the dark night without stopping for even a moment. In the sky of the eastern continent, a huge space passage floated up and down. In front of the passage, the Golden Light King led countless heavenly demon experts to guard it, waiting for the 13th prince's arrival. When dawn was about to arrive, Ning Chen arrived at the bottom of the passage between the two realms and stopped. In the sky, the turbulent demon chi was shockingly strong. Ning Chen frowned slightly and did not rush up. You can't escape. Xian Lai's face twisted violently as he said in a hoarse voice. You don't have to worry about whether I can escape or not. Since the time was not right, Ning Chen was not in a hurry. He took Xian Lai and flew toward the river in the distance. Ning Chen's figure flashed over from within the mountain range, and then he tossed Xian Lai down with a casual wave of his hand. With a bang, the mountain shattered. Xian Lai's mouth was red, but his expression was still unyielding. Heavenly demon kings were unyielding. Even if they were under the control of others, they would not lower their heads. Ning Chen looked at the king before him quietly. Without saying anything, he formed Yuan with his right hand and pierced it into Xian Lai's chest. Blood spurted out and dyed their clothes red. Ning Chen's demonic chi surged as he forcefully devoured the king's origin. Arg! Intense pain assaulted Xian Lai, and his face twisted even more. The heavenly demon's origin gradually left his body, and his vitality also quickly dissipated. From now on, there will no longer be the strongest palm in the world. After a long time, Ning Chen pulled out his right hand and threw Xian Lai to the side. Blood dyed the rocks red, and it was a glaring sight. Chapter 1291. In the eastern continent of the primordial demon realm, Knowing Destiny stood quietly among the mountains. In front of him, the third heavenly demon prince fell to the ground, covered in blood. His body was dyed red. He had reached the end of his life. The end of a king's life was so bleak. He used to be famous, but now he could only struggle at death's door. He couldn't even control his own life. After devouring hundreds of King Realm heavenly demons, Ning Chen's demonic arts improved rapidly. Now that he had devoured another peak King Realm heavenly demon, his bloodline power finally changed qualitatively and showed signs of returning to its ancestral state. There was a hint of gold in the black light. Although it was faint, it was very clear. After observing for a while, Ning Chen stepped forward and shattered Xian Lai's severely injured sea of qi with a punch. He pulled out the jade scroll with Feng Lin's secret technique. Blood dripped from the bloody jade scroll. It was so dazzling. Knowing Destiny's heart was as hard as stone. 13th Prince. You can't escape. Xian Lai's weak voice sounded so powerless. He looked at the black-clothed young man in front of him with hatred. I'll leave it to you. Ning Chen spoke with a cold expression. Thank you, master. Thousands of demons flew out of the soul-suppressing banner and rushed toward the heavenly demon prince. It was a shocking scene. In just a few breaths' time, the former third heavenly demon prince was only left with a skeleton. Ning Chen raised his hand. Demonic fire spread out and burned the demon skeleton. In the heavenly demon ancestral land, Demon Emperor First Kuin's body suddenly shook. His face darkened. Xian Lai is dead. Demon Emperor First Kuin sighed. 13th Prince. 7 Brilliance Demon Emperor's eyes were filled with killing intent. He clenched his fists so hard that they cracked. This kid deserved to die. 13th Prince must have devoured Xian Lai's heavenly demon origin. He can't hide his aura in a short time. So, we must kill him before he completely refines Xian Lai's origin, Demon Emperor First Kuin said coldly. Understood. 7 Brilliance Demon Emperor nodded. The killing intent in his eyes grew stronger. He said, this time I'll do it myself. But with 9 Nether's temper, she'll definitely interfere. I'll have to trouble you to stop her. Don't worry. Demon Emperor First Kuan nodded. Eastern continent, thousands of miles of mountain range. Ningchen sat cross-legged in the middle of a mountain range. His entire body was one with the world as he focused on refining the heavenly demon origin that he had taken from the various kings. Thousands of great demons appeared around Ningchen, guarding him carefully. With the protection of thousands of demons, demonic qi filled the sky. Endless demonic yuan spread out, constantly devouring the vitality of all things in the surroundings. With the help of all things and the heavenly demon returning to his body, the pressure around Ningchen's body became more and more shocking, shaking the heavens and the earth. The sun rose and the moon rose. Time passed little by little. Ningchen's bloodline power was rapidly fusing together. His royal aura was faintly discernible, blazing like a divine furnace. 3 days and 3 nights passed. Behind Ningchen, a gigantic mountain character appeared. This was the first time Feng Lin had used the mountain character technique, immovable mountain. So you were hiding here. At this moment, golden light spread above the void, and the Golden Light King walked out. His powerful palm broke through the air and blasted toward the knowing destiny state in the middle of thousands of demons. As the palm energy neared, Ningchen's eyes suddenly opened. Behind him, the word mountain dissipated and turned into wind. As soon as the wind character spell appeared, Ningchen's figure disappeared instantly. He was as fast as the wind and as fast as lightning. With a heavy punch, Ningchen punched out. It was incomparably powerful and aggressive like fire. With a loud rumble, the two kings clashed again. The aftershock caused both kings to retreat a few steps. Lin. As soon as the Lin character spell appeared, the surging blood qi in Ningchen's body quickly calmed down and returned to normal. Feng Lin's secret technique once again shocked the world. Ningchen used the 4-character spell to fight the Golden Light King head-on. As the two kings fought, the rumbling shook the heavens and the earth. The aftershock caused the mountains to collapse and the earth to collapse. Demonic flames burned around Ningchen's body. His fist energy overlapped and blasted toward the woman in front of him. The Golden Light King snorted coldly. His golden demonic body exploded with the strongest power. His slender hand condensed yuan, blocking the attack head-on. With a loud rumble, the two kings each took half a step back. They punched out and clashed again. Boom, boom. Fist after fist bombarded, palm after palm collided. The two strongest kings were exchanging blows in a life-and-death battle. They did not hold back at all in their moves. Something's not right. After exchanging more than 10 moves, the Golden Light King's expression suddenly sank. He felt that something was wrong. The 13th prince's body had improved tremendously compared to before. However, there was not much change in his strength. The demonic flames around Ningchen burned even more fiercely. His combat strength increased with every move they exchanged. Gradually, the Golden Light King finally realized that something was wrong. His face was filled with killing intent. 13th Prince, you're really confident that you're using me to practice your moves. The Golden Light King was furious. He shook off the battle with one palm. 10 steps away, he flipped his palms. Golden light soared into the sky. His demonic technique shook the world. When a king was angry, his body reached the peak. With the help of a secret technique, half of his body entered the sovereign Tao. As the strongest king, the sovereign aura appeared. Golden light surged like raging waves. In front of him, Ningchen's expression turned serious when he saw this. The Golden Light King's cultivation was unfathomable. Wind. In the battle at the top, the dual king body technique reached a new height. The sovereign aura appeared and shook the world. Behind the two, demonic figures appeared. They were thousands of feet tall and stood tall. As the demonic figures clashed, the world turned upside down. Terrifying power spread and the mountains within thousands of miles collapsed. As the two kings fought, streaks of flowing light came from the void. Powerful aura filled the air and covered the sky. They're really fast. Ningchen's figure flashed and retreated from the battle. He looked at the dozens of sky demons rushing toward him from the sky and frowned. He clenched his fists and demonic aura surged. Two divine weapons appeared out of thin air. In an instant, thousands of rays of light shot into the sky. Ultimate technique of heaven and earth, sword and saber boundary. As soon as the forbidden technique was used, heaven and earth were split into two. The saber and the sword cut open thousands of miles of the void and destroyed everything. Roar! With a roar, the demonic figures behind Ningchen moved together. With endless demonic aura, they shattered the starry sky with a punch. It was the most terrifying demonic aura. In front of everyone, the 5 King Realm Sky Demons could not withstand this terrifying power. Their bodies exploded. Blood splattered everywhere like rain, dyeing the human world red under the light of dawn. Below, thousands of demons roared and devoured the blood and bones in the sky. Their illusory bodies became more and more solid. Retreat! With one move, the path to survival was opened. Ningchen shouted and retreated quickly. Thousands of demons moved at the same time. They flew into the soul-suppressing banner and withdrew all their auras. You want to leave? Wishful thinking. The Golden Light King snorted and waved his hand. A huge demonic net fell from the sky and blocked all escape routes. Under the demonic net, Ningchen looked up and narrowed his eyes. This was an Emperor artifact. Only the royal family of the Sky Demons had an Emperor artifact. The 7 Luminaries Demon Emperors and Kun-E Demon Emperors had really gone to great lengths to get rid of him. With the Emperor artifact's power, the void within thousands of miles was completely sealed. There were no flaws. Master, this demonic net is not simple. Be careful. The thousands of demons in the soul-suppressing banner also felt the danger and hurriedly reminded him. All of you, guard your souls. Without my orders, you are not allowed to come out, Ningchen said seriously. Yes. The thousands of demons respectfully accepted the order. With the Emperor artifact in front of him, Ningchen did not dare to be careless. Demonic aura surged from his body and a huge immortal bell appeared out of thin air. The Donghuang bell appeared. The top immortal artifact that shocked the ancient times reappeared in the mortal world. Its immortal aura spread and intimidated people. In front of him, Ningchen took out the green cauldron and smashed it directly at the immortal bell. Boom! As the immortal artifacts collided, a terrifying sound reverberated. Wherever the sound passed, mountains collapsed, and everything was destroyed. It was an unprecedented scene. The sound was unstoppable and destroyed everything. Even the powerful Golden Light Monarch and the Sky Demon Emperors behind him trembled and their mouths turned red. Above the immortal bell, the demonic net was impacted by the sound and stopped descending. Donghuang Bell. At this moment, a majestic voice sounded from the 9 heavens. The demonic sun circled around him and the Emperor's aura shook the sky. 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor. Below, Ningchen's expression turned cold. What was supposed to come had finally come. The 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor appeared and pressed his palm down. The demonic net within thousands of miles descended again and sealed the world. Even if you're here, what can you do? Ningchen harumphed coldly. He dashed forward and threw the immortal bell at the net. The demonic net and immortal bell collided. A violent sound of collision was heard, and the sound echoed for thousands of miles. It was a terrifying scene. The sound was like a raging wave that destroyed everything around it. Under the demonic net, the Sky Demon Emperors were affected by the sound. Blood burst out from their bodies and dyed the world red. As the immortal and demonic artifacts clashed, the void could not withstand the terrifying power and turned into nothingness. Goodbye. Ningchen raised his hand and grabbed the immortal bell. He stepped into the void and disappeared. In the sky, the demonic net trembled. Demonic aura spread and tried to seal the space. However, it was affected by the sound and slowed down by half a step. Above the 9 heavens, the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor's eyes were burning with anger. His murderous intent was surging uncontrollably. He had escaped again. This kid had the Donghuang Bell. Wasn't it lost in the ancient era? How did it end up in the hands of the 13th prince? After a moment of thought, the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor waved his hand and put away the demonic net. He looked at the Sky Demon Emperors below and said in a deep voice, Guard the passage between the two realms. I'll kill this kid myself. Understood. The Sky Demon Emperors below acknowledged the order respectfully. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor suppressed the anger in his heart and released his divine sense. A moment later, his figure faded and disappeared. In the northern part of the primordial demon realm, the space above the void stirred. A black-robed and black-haired figure walked out. His hair was dyed red. He was also severely injured. Master, your injuries? The thousands of great demons were worried. It's fine. Hurry up and refine the energy in your body. One day, you'll be my greatest support. Ningchen raised his hand and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. Yes. The thousands of great demons replied in unison. Above the void, Ningchen looked at the altars of various sizes in front of him with a serious expression. This was the sorcerer tribe's sacred ground? 13th Prince, since you're here, why don't you come and catch up with me? On the central altar, Tianxin looked at the familiar figure in the distance and said softly, I'll do as you say. Ningchen nodded. He walked forward step by step in the air. In front of the central altar, Ningchen descended from the sky. He looked at the sorcerer tribe's sovereign with his deep eyes and said calmly, Miss Tianxin, how have you been? How have you been? Tianxin sighed softly and said, It's only been a dozen years and everything has changed. 13th Prince, what choice do you want the sorcerer tribe to make? Chapter 1292. Ningchen appeared in front of the central altar in the sorcerer tribe's holy land. He had returned to the sorcerer tribe after a few years. He was once a dazzling young genius on the Blood Moon ancient battlefield. Now that he had met again, his status was different. On the altar, Tianxin looked at the black-clothed young man with a complicated expression. After a few years, the 13th Prince, who was famous in the primordial demon realm, could now stand in front of her. The purple crystal sorcerer empress died in your hands, Tianxin said with a sigh. Swords have no eyes on the battlefield. There was no shame on Ningchen's face. If Miss Tianxin wants to seek justice for the purple crystal sorcerer empress, I'll keep you company. When we meet on the battlefield, life and death are predestined. Your Highness is not at fault. However, ever since we met on the Blood Moon ancient battlefield, I've always wanted to spar with your Highness. I wonder if your Highness can give me some pointers? Tianxin said seriously. There must be some stakes in a spar. Since Miss Tianxin can't choose the future of the sorcerer tribe, why don't we bet on the outcome of this battle? Ningchen said calmly. How do we bet? Tianxin asked seriously. If Miss Tianxin can't win in 10 moves, the sorcerer tribe won't interfere in the battle between the two realms, Ningchen said. 10 moves? Tianxin frowned and said, Your Highness, you're so confident. The gap between the King Plane and the Emperor Plane was beyond imagination. 3 moves was an insurmountable limit, let alone 10 moves. Confidence comes from strength, Ningchen said without any modesty. Please show me your confidence. Tianxin raised her hand, and her expression turned cold. Ningchen stepped forward and walked directly to the central altar that symbolized the sorcerer tribe's imperial power. On the central altar, the king and the emperor looked at each other. Demonic chi and holy light surrounded them. A great battle was about to break out. Please. Tianxin raised her palms slightly. Golden light shone. She was extremely clear and holy. The supreme imperial power spread for thousands of miles. The great battle was about to begin, and all the secrets of heaven were sealed. In front of her, Ningchen held the ghost sword in his right hand. The power of the sword soared into the sky. The sword held up the sky, and the divine sword slashed down forcefully. It was a shocking scene. The sword light broke through the endless holy power and slashed toward the emperor of the sorcerer tribe. Tianxin narrowed her eyes. With a flip of her delicate hand, she used her flesh and blood to resist the sharpness of the divine weapon. The sword and palm collided, and the torrential undercurrent shook violently. With an unstoppable momentum, it continuously destroyed everything in the surroundings. As the scene changed, the world quickly dimmed, and all the light was swallowed up. In the first move, the ghost sword shook the emperor's might. They were evenly matched, and it was hard to tell who was stronger. On the altar in the center, Tian Xen looked at the 9 huge dragons in front of him, and his expression turned serious. It turned out that this was his trump card that allowed him to contend against an imperial path expert. The Qi Huang secret technique was the strongest thing the Qi Huang clan relied on to fight against the world. At its peak, it could fight against the emperors of the 100 clans. 13th Prince, you are the most special opponent I've ever seen. I won't hold back anymore. As soon as he spoke, Tian Xian's eyes glowed with golden light. A powerful royal aura soared and shook the clouds. The sovereign made his move. Above the void, holy light gathered, and the 12 grand shamans appeared. Their supreme holy might swept across the 9 heavens and 10 lands. In front, Ning Chen stood quietly, looking at the 12 grand shamans in the sky. The divine sword in his hand turned and stabbed into the ground. Thousands of swords soared into the sky, clashing with the Emperor's Might phenomenon. Extreme Tao and Emperor's Might. The 2 supreme powers clashed, and the terrifying aftershock shook the world. Thousands of swords shattered. The royal aura was endless. The 12 grand shamans shook heaven and earth, and the Emperor's Might phenomenon suppressed everything. Ning Chen's expression turned serious. He gathered his essence and activated 30% of his sword intent. The strongest sword was dazzling. Endless sword pressure spread out, blocking the 12 grand shamans once again. The 12th sword appeared. The limitless sword was as bright as the stars, and it clashed with the Emperor's Might phenomenon. Boom! There was a violent tremor as the 2 extremes clashed. In the battle, Ning Chen took half a step back, and his blood qi surged violently. Lin! Ning Chen shouted. Demonic qi gathered behind him, and a huge Lin character appeared, suppressing the surging blood qi in his body. Feng Lin's secret technique. Seeing this, Tian Xian's eyes narrowed. The Sky Devil royal family's Feng Lin's forbidden technique. This 13th prince had actually cultivated this technique. Qi Huang's secret technique, Feng Lin's forbidden technique. 13th prince, how many more trump cards do you have? Tian Xian raised his hand and pointed. A dazzling golden light broke through the air. The unprecedented royal aura tore through the void and pressed down on the knowing destiny state cultivators. Mountain. Ning Chen stepped forward. The Lin character behind him changed, and the Shan character appeared. He was as immovable as a mountain, blocking the Emperor's golden light head-on. With the shocking royal aura, the Shan character collapsed. Demonic qi surged around Ning Chen, and thousands of threads intertwined. The imperial technique appeared, blocking the Emperor's might. The golden light collided, and the thousands of demonic threads collapsed. The aftershock forced Ning Chen to take half a step back. Drops of blood dripped down, dyeing his clothes red. Ning Chen stepped forward, and with a wind character, his figure flashed out instantly. Switching between offense and defense, Ning Chen took the initiative to attack. The fire character was activated, and the invasion was like fire. With a punch, demonic flames filled the sky. Layers of attacks accumulated and broke through the king's domain. The royal aura was faintly visible. Boom! As the attacks approached, Tian Xian's face darkened. He raised his hand to block the demonic aura. Layers of attacks kept hitting the Emperor's protective holy light. The royal aura was endless and indestructible. Ha! With a deep roar, Ning Chen took another step forward. Demonic qi surged around him. The Flying Swan formula activated the extreme martial arts, and the ghost sword slashed down. Your sword has surpassed the king's path. Tian Xian turned his left hand slightly and blocked the extreme martial arts sword. Sword might and Emperor's might collided again. The Emperor's might suppressed the sword might, scattering the sword qi in the sky. The sword qi dissipated, but the Emperor's might was still there. He pressed his palm toward the knowing destiny state cultivator's chest. Roar! With the danger looming, the 9 dragons roared around Ning Chen, protecting him. The Qi Huang secret technique blocked the Emperor's might, and the 9 dragons collapsed. The violent spiritual qi shook and forced the knowing destiny state cultivator to retreat. Powerful, so powerful that it was difficult to shake him. The emperor's path was so powerful that it was difficult for humans to defeat it. At the edge of the altar, Ningchen steadied himself and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. The battle intent in his eyes did not diminish. It had been a long time since he had such a satisfying battle. Have you reached your limit? 13th Prince, your strength has impressed me. However, it's still not enough, Tianxin said. 10 moves had surpassed the limit of the king's realm. How could it be so easy to go against the flow and kill an immortal? My sword has no limit, Ningchen replied calmly. All the power around him dissipated, and he returned to his original state. There was only one sword left. All the laws dissipated, and the sword intent soared into the sky. Everything within a radius of 10,000 miles moved rhythmically. Sword chi soared into the sky without beginning or end. It was endless. Seeing this, Tianxin's expression turned serious. The current him was different. Was this his sword? In the silent sword realm, the sky and earth changed. Only the sword filled every corner. Great Sword Realm. Sword Emperor. The extreme martial arts sword surpassed all laws. Ningchen's figure rose slowly, and his black hair danced wildly. He was like the emperor of the sword, and his might could not be offended. With a swing of the sword realm disintegrated. Endless sword chi gathered into one, and the sword light illuminated the 9 heavens. The sword light fell, and an unprecedented threat pressed down. Tianxin's expression turned serious. He put his hands together and blocked the extreme martial arts sword. Bang, bang, bang. The sword might clashed, and Tianxin took 3 steps back. The central altar could no longer withstand the terrifying might, and it collapsed. Tianxin landed on the ground, and the battle was decided. His expression changed slightly, and after a while he sighed softly in his heart. Heaven's will. In the void, the sword intent around Ningchen dissipated, and he descended from the sky. He looked at the sorcerer sovereign in front of him and said, "Thank you for letting me win." 13th Prince, I hope I made the right choice today, Tianxin said with a complicated expression. At this moment, demonic clouds swept in from afar, and an extremely powerful imperial aura appeared again, approaching rapidly. He's coming. You should leave. Tianxin sensed it, and his expression darkened. We'll meet again. Ningchen nodded and continued to walk toward the north. Not long after Zhi Ming left, a demonic sun circled above the central altar. The 7 luminaries demon emperor walked out from the huge demonic sun. He looked down at the central altar that had been destroyed by the battle, and his expression turned serious. Sorcerer Sovereign, why didn't you kill him? The 7 luminaries demon emperor asked in a deep voice. Can't you tell, Sorcerer Sovereign? Tianxin said calmly, it's not that I don't want to kill him, but I can't. I'd like to remind you that if the celestial demon royal family continues to let this kid grow, even the Sorcerer Sovereign won't be able to kill him. The 7 luminaries demon emperor's expression turned ugly when he heard this. He said coldly, I'll remember your words, Sorcerer Sovereign. We'll meet again. Demonic chi surged around the 7 luminaries demon emperor, and he melted into the void and disappeared. In the north, at the end of the northern continent, Ningchen walked over in a world of ice and snow. The place was extremely cold. 13th Prince, where do you think you're going? The 7 luminaries demon emperor's voice came from behind, and he quickly approached Ningchen. Ningchen harumphed coldly and continued to walk forward without stopping. At the peak of a mountain in the far north, Ningchen walked over. He looked at the towering peaks around him, and a strange look flashed across his eyes. If destroying this place could cause some trouble for the celestial demons, he was more than willing to do so. Ningchen held his sword. Sword intent rose from his body as he slashed down with his sword. The sword tore through the air with a sword intent of 30,000 zhang. The dazzling sword slashed at the peak in the distance. Boom! The sky-shattering peak shook violently. A few moments later, an extremely powerful palm energy swept across the sky and slammed into the knowing destiny state cultivator in the distance. At the peak of the mountain, Ningchen turned around and slashed at the emperor's palm energy. Boom! The 2 demons began their battle. Their might shook the world. and under the pressure of the shock waves, mountain peaks collapsed one after another. Rubble flew everywhere as they continuously fell from the sky. Several large peaks collapsed, but the world was strangely calm. There were no more upheavals that could shake the world. Ningchen squinted. He immediately realized what was going on. Not all the sky-shattering peaks here were real. It seemed like the lesson in the easternmost land had taught the ruler of the celestial demons a lesson. 13th Prince, I'll be taking your life. The 7 luminaries demon emperor descended from the sky. An extremely powerful demonic aura spread across the place. It was so heavy that it was difficult to breathe. 7 luminaries demon emperor, I told you, you can't kill me. That was true in the past, and it won't change today. Ningchen swung his sword. The battle intent in his eyes burned fiercer as he said coldly. Chapter 1293. The knowing destiny demon emperor and the 7 luminaries demon emperor met on the towering peak in the northernmost land. The battle was about to begin. Give me your life. The 7 luminaries demon emperor raised his hand in the sky. Giant demonic suns rose into the sky. Vast demonic power continued to spread. Everything fell and the world lost its color. The Supreme Emperor Tao, the most powerful being in the human world, had yet to make a move, but the entire starry sky began to shake. On the heaven-upholding peak, Ningchen's eyes narrowed slightly. Under the unprecedented pressure, his battle intent rose rapidly. This battle was unavoidable. Since he was here, he would fight. Surging demonic chi filled every corner of the world. Under the absolute imperial power, the light around Ningchen was like a firefly. It was so weak that it was almost invisible. Humans defied the heavens and went against the flow to kill immortals. It was a foolish and overconfident action, but it had crossed the knowing destiny demon emperor's life. If he wanted to fight, he would fight. There was no reason for him to do so. The knowing destiny demon emperor was not afraid of a battle. Ha! With a deep shout, the demonic chi around Ningchen's body continued to rise. The firefly's light shone brightly. The ghost sword was activated. Waves and undercurrents surged out. The peerless sword might soared into the sky. In the sky, the 7 luminaries demon emperor slapped down. Suddenly, the wind and clouds changed and turned into a giant hand falling from the sky. The indescribably terrifying power surpassed the limits of the world. The palm split the sky and shattered everything. The rumbling sound echoed in the starry sky. The entire northernmost land was turned upside down. The scene of doomsday was shocking. Below, the demonic chi around Ningchen grew stronger. The ghost sword condensed and the imperial power shook the world. The sword might and demonic might clashed. Demonic clouds pressed down and sword chi filled the sky. The most terrifying power was the giant hand formed by the demonic clouds. It shattered the sword chi and fell down. The imperial power was hard to resist. Around Ningchen, giant dragons soared into the sky and blocked the demonic might. The Qi Huang secret technique clashed with the demonic palm. The violent collision caused the wind and clouds to change color. The world quickly darkened. In the battle of life and death, the knowing destiny demon emperor forcefully blocked the first wave of attacks. He looked calm and unmoved. The dominator who had cultivated for tens of thousands of years. His cultivation technique was far more powerful than the dominator of the sorcerer tribe. He was undeniably strong, so strong that it was frightening. Ningchen stared at the emperor of the demons in the sky, his expression turning colder and colder. Qin Nan had only observed the 7 brilliance demon emperor from afar in the past. He had never noticed his strength, but now that he was facing the 7 brilliance demon emperor head-on, he finally realized how powerful the demon emperor was. Without a doubt, the 7 brilliance demon emperor's strength had surpassed the emperors of other royal tribes. The royal blood heavenly demon was comparable to the legendary deities and demons. On the peak, Ningchen clenched the ghost sword in his hand. Sword intent rose from his body, but there was no fear on his face. Ever since he started practicing martial arts at a young age, his sword had cut through too many obstacles. Even if he was facing a fiend god, he was not afraid. Sword art, extreme heaven. He condensed a sword with his fingers, and sword chi soared into the sky. The incomparably resplendent sword directly slashed through the void and charged toward the Devil Sovereign in front of him. In the sky, the Seven Brilliance Demon Emperor narrowed his eyes. He raised his hand and flicked it in the air. Demonic suns fell from the sky. The extreme heaven sword and the heaven-burning devil sun collided with each other. The aftershock caused the void to collapse. The heavenly sword collapsed, and a terrifying force spread out. Ning Chen's mouth turned red, and he took 10 steps back. Rumble. Below, the mountain collapsed. The enormous towering sky peak was split into two, and the cliff was immeasurably deep. 10 steps away, Ning Chen forcibly stabilized his body. A strange light rose around him, and the power of the divine seal appeared, blocking most of the aftershock. The Seven Brilliance Demon Emperor descended from the sky. He looked at the young man in front of him and said coldly, "Your strength is the strongest among the young kings I've ever seen. However, the more stunning you are, the more determined I am to eliminate you." In front of the cliff, Ning Chen wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and leaped down the mountain. "You can't escape." The Seven Brilliance Demon Emperor snorted coldly. He descended at the same speed, catching up with Ning Chen's speed. Under the cliff, the two who were falling rapidly looked at each other. The murderous intent in their eyes burned fiercely. With a thump, the two landed on the ground. The ground under their feet shook violently, and huge cracks appeared one after another, spreading 10,000 miles away. One sword pierced the ground, and 10,000 swords soared into the sky. There was no gap between them. "Your sword won't be able to stop me." The Seven Brilliance Demon Emperor stepped forward. Demonic chi spread out, and forcibly suppressed the 10,000 swords. Brute force could break 10,000 techniques. With the absolute difference in cultivation, even the Seven Brilliance Demon Emperor was in danger. Just as the Seven Brilliance Demon Emperor stepped out and knowing destiny was in a life-and-death battle, Xian Jiuyo sensed something in the 9 underworlds palace in the heavenly devil imperial city. He looked at the far north with a cold expression. This was too much. The emperor was about to step out. At this moment, demonic chi swept across the sky above the palace. A demonic supremacy descended from the sky to stop Xian Jiuyo. Xian Jiuyo's eyes flickered coldly. He said in a deep voice, "Brother, are you here to stop me? Your master-disciple relationship is over. Jiuyo, you're the emperor of the heavenly devil clan. How can you not know where you stand?" The first demon emperor said coldly, "He's my disciple. No one can change that," Xian Jiuyo said seriously without hesitation. "Blindly protecting your disciple. Jiuyo, you've disappointed me," the first demon emperor said angrily. "In my eyes, what my disciple did was right." "There's nothing wrong with that," Xian Jiuyo said coldly. In the palace, the two strongest primal devil realm cultivators looked at each other. The atmosphere was getting heavier and heavier. It was hard to breathe. "Are you sure you want to go?" the first demon emperor said. "I won't interfere with anyone under the imperial Tao. However, what you've done is too much. An imperial supremacy bullying a junior. Aren't you afraid that the world will laugh at the heavenly devil imperial clan?" Xian Jiuyo's eyes were filled with disappointment. The 13th prince is no longer a junior. The first Kunyi demon emperor said indifferently, "I have to admit that this child's growth has exceeded my expectations. Now, there is no one below the Emperor Dao who can suppress him. A human prodigy like him can no longer be compared to those juniors. The Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor is the best choice." "Nonsense. Get out of my way." Xian Jiuyo clenched his fists. Demonic chi surged out of his body. "It seems that a battle between you and me is unavoidable." The first demon emperor sighed. He clenched his right hand and the scene changed. The two entered the unknown small world. Chaotic chi filled the air. There was no way out. "Defeat me and destroy this place. Otherwise, I'll let you out after the Seven Brilliance Demon Emperor kills the 13th prince," the first demon emperor said indifferently. "As you wish." Xian Jiuyo shouted. 9 rays of light shot out of his body. The Xian Jia 9 transformations reappeared in the world. A black spear appeared. Demonic fire surrounded it. It was an extremely sharp divine weapon. The void cracked at the tip of the spear. It was difficult to withstand such a sharp weapon. Facing the pride of the heavenly devil clan, the first demon emperor didn't dare to be careless. Chaotic demonic chi circled around him. The top divine weapon of the devil clan appeared in the sky. A huge devil emperor's seal appeared, suppressing the chi of heaven and earth. The two strongest devil emperors faced each other. In the next moment, the sovereigns started their battle. The flames of war spread to every corner of the small world. The master and disciple met the strongest opponent in their lives. The four devil emperors started their battle. Their demonic techniques shook the stars. Under the towering sky peak, Ning Chen's injuries kept accumulating. Demonic chi spread out of his body. It was chaotic and violent. You can't use the power you didn't cultivate yourself. 13th Prince, you've devoured the origin of so many people, but you still can't change the outcome of your defeat. The Seven Brilliance Demon Emperor stepped forward. His murderous aura was getting stronger. The sovereign of the devils announced his death. Master, back off. The thousands of devil emperors in the soul-suppressing banner felt the terror of the sovereign. I want to surpass him. I want to surpass the sovereign of the heavenly devil royal clan. Ning Chen was unmoved. His expression was unprecedentedly stubborn. Master, you have cultivated for less than 200 years. To have your current achievements is already unprecedented. As long as you can escape today's calamity, there is no need to worry about revenge in the future. You can wash away the humiliation you suffered today. Qian Mo urged anxiously. I want to surpass him. No one could change the determination of the devil emperors. Ning Chen stared at the Seven Brilliance Demon Emperor in front of him. From now on, lend me your power. All of your power, Ning Chen said in a deep voice. The thousands of devil emperors fell silent. After a long while, they flew out of the soul-suppressing banner and appeared in the sky. The souls of the thousands of fourth-level devil emperors surrounded knowing destiny. They were powerful and illusory, making it difficult to see them clearly. Demonic souls? The Seven Brilliance Demon Emperor's expression changed slightly. There were so many fourth-level devil emperors. No wonder the 13th Prince could devour so many heavenly devil origin. Yes, Master. The thousands of devil emperors accepted the order. Their souls rushed into knowing destiny's body one after another. The powerful force was unprecedented. Ning Chen's body was covered in blood. He couldn't withstand the power of the thousands of devil emperors. It was a shocking scene. Ning Chen's eyes turned red as the thousands of devil emperors entered his body. His aura rose rapidly. He broke through the king realm and reached a whole new realm. The thousands of devil emperors gathered in Ning Chen's sea of qi and created a second small world. Ha! Ning Chen yelled. The power of the thousands of devil emperors was released at the same time. Terrifying devil essence filled the air. It seemed like a casual attack, but the difference was like heaven and earth. The Seven Brilliance Demon Emperor's eyes widened. He put his hands together to block the ghost sword. Boom! The ghost sword slashed down and split the sky in half. The moment the sword and palm collided, the mountains around the two shook violently and sank 1,000 feet into the ground. The mountains fell 1,000 feet, and the sky in the North Pole shook and fell 1,000 feet. It was a terrifying scene. The battle between the two changed the appearance of the world. It was shocking. You're not the 13th Prince. Or you. The Seven Brilliance Demon Emperor blocked the ghost sword with his blood-stained hands and said in a deep voice, I'm not alone. The thousands of devil emperors in Ning Chen's body spoke at the same time. With knowing destiny as the leader, all the energy gathered in one place. The ghost sword slashed down. Blood splashed out and dyed the towering sky peak red. I'm knowing destiny Marquis. Knowing destiny Marquis name resounded in the entire primordial demon realm with the help of thousands of devil emperors. Boom, boom. A huge rumbling sound rang out. In the land of the extreme north, the entire earth caved in, and the sky sank and the earth fell. Chapter 1294. In the northernmost land, the knowing destiny battle emperor path. Thousands of demons entered the body, and the sword opened the path to hell. The power of thousands of demons surged, and Ning Chen's cultivation improved endlessly. He temporarily surpassed the limit of the Emperor realm. The ghost artifact 6 Paths of Reincarnation glowed again. Ning Chen moved, and his sword slashed down. The 7 Brilliance Demon Emperor raised his hand and blocked the ghost saint's sword. The demonic sun circled, and the imperial aura shook the world. The battle shook, and Ning Chen took a few steps back. Demonic flame sky. The ghost sword changed direction, and the demonic flames spread. Ning Chen stepped forward and dashed out. The shocking sword aura cut through the sky and the sea. A mountain in the distance was cut in half by the sword aura. The 7 Brilliance Demon Emperor leaned to the side and avoided the ghost sword. He threw out a punch and counterattacked. Ning Chen stood still and gathered his energy. Terrifying waves swept out and blocked the imperial aura. Boom! The fist and palm collided, and the sword slashed down. The killing moves were endless, and there was no pause. Ha! The 2 palms collided, and the aftershocks spread out. The 2's attacks became more and more fierce. 8 heavenly demon transformations set the world. The battle reached its climax, and the 8 transformation demonic martial technique appeared. Behind the 7 Brilliance Demon Emperor, a 10,000 feet tall demonic figure rose from the ground and threw a punch. The ground cracked, and the nearest mountain collapsed. Seeing this, Ning Chen also used the Heavenly Demon Ultimate Martial Technique. The demonic figure manifested and blocked the attack. With a loud rumble, the 2 demonic fists collided. Ning Chen let out a deep shout, and demonic flames surrounded his body. With the support of the Flying Swan, his power increased by several times. After a moment of stalemate, the 8 dragons around Ning Chen roared. With the Qi Huang secret technique, his cultivation improved again. The ghost sword aura soared into the sky, and the imperial aura was faintly visible. The shocking sword aura spread, and the emperor sword appeared as the extreme state of the sword was activated. Ning Chen's black hair danced in the wind, and blood splattered. He raised his sword and swung it. A terrifying sword aura spread out, and everything collapsed. The 7 Brilliance Demon Emperor focused his mind and threw out a palm. Demonic flames gathered and blocked the emperor's sword. Ugh! Ning Chen grunted, and blood splattered everywhere. He took a few steps back, and blood kept dripping from the hand holding the sword. The 1,000 demonic aura surged, and endless energy spread out energy into the knowing destiny demon body. Descent of the 6 Tao, myriad demonic tribulations, Taishang Forbidden Sword. When the Forbidden Sword appeared, Ning Chen's demonic aura soared into the sky. Tens of thousands of sword lights appeared and soared into the sky. Doomsday. Ning Chen took a step forward and his figure soared into the sky. Tens of thousands of swords circled around him. The strongest technique of Taoism was unleashed. Above the horizon, sword light crisscrossed, endless and shocking. The 7 Brilliance Demon Emperor raised his head and stared at the 10,000 swords circling in the sky. Indestructible protection. The heavenly demon's ultimate martial art, the indestructible protection. The demon form behind the 7 Brilliance Demon Emperor bent its body and stood in front of him. At this moment, the 10,000 swords in the heavens tore through the void with an unstoppable momentum as they collided with the 10,000 feet tall demonic figure. Shockwaves from the shocking power surged out. In the air, Ning Chen's figure flashed by, taking advantage of the situation. 12 forms of spiritual rhino, 8 void renegade dragon. Xiao Chen closed in with a palm strike, and 8 dragons roared in the air. With a loud boom, he clashed head-on with the protection of the heavenly demon again. Violent collisions occurred. One after another, the dragons crashed into the demonic figure and were injured. Finally, the 10,000 feet tall demonic figure could no longer withstand the pressure and dissipated. The opponent who had been reborn was completely different from before. The 7 Brilliance Demon Emperor's expression changed again. He threw a punch with demonic might. The phantom sword soared across the sky and blocked the demonic might. The terrifying power passed through the sword. Ning Chen's lips were dyed red again. He condensed his sword finger and pointed it at the demon's heart. The sword chi entered his body. The Seven Brilliance Demon Emperor grunted. Blood flowed down from the corner of his mouth. He was injured for the first time since the battle started. It was a shocking scene. The Emperor was injured in the heaven-defying battle of immortals. He couldn't believe that the young man who could only stand behind 9 underworlds could already defeat him in just a few years. The knowing destiny Marquis, huh? I'll remember this. The Seven Brilliance Demon Emperor's expression darkened. He roared furiously as the sovereign Tao origin in his body surged. A powerful force burst out and knocked the knowing destiny Marquis back. 100 steps away, Ning Qin staggered and stabilized himself. His injuries kept accumulating, but he couldn't suppress his overwhelming battle intent. He forgot his burdens and gave up on his responsibilities. All he could do was fight with his life on the line. Taoist Chang Wuming. The phantom sword changed its stance. The Taoist technique appeared again. He slashed with the sword, and the laws of heaven and earth changed rapidly. After the slash, Ning Chen's figure dashed forward rapidly. The sword radiance was extremely bright. The ground shook violently. The demonic palm shook the divine weapon. The sword radiance and palm energy clashed mercilessly. Ning Chen's body gradually reached its limit. Blood kept dripping from the corner of his mouth, but his attacks became fiercer and fiercer. The power of 1,000 demons flowed into his body continuously. The memories of 1,000 demons, countless years of battle experience, and his strongest combat strength were completely unleashed today. Boom! The sword and palm clashed. Black air currents clashed violently. Demonic flames lingered, turning the cold northernmost land into a burning hell. The towering mountains in all directions were affected by the battle and shook violently. Natural disasters kept happening in the tilted northernmost world. The ground cracked, and flames spewed into the sky. The common people suffered. The common people suffered. The struggle between the strong caused all living beings to suffer. Ha! The two's attacks clashed again. The undercurrent spread, and the remaining energy destroyed the landscape. Everything within 10,000 miles was destroyed. In the white-hot battle, the two exchanged injuries continuously. Blood dyed every inch of the ground red. In the primordial demon realm, the strong cultivators felt the shock waves of the battle in the northernmost land. They were shocked. On the peak of the divine capital mountain, the lord of the divine capital, Yu, stood quietly. He looked to the north, and a strange look flashed across his face. The 13 sons of the heavenly demon had shocked him once again. In the western sacred region, above the 12 palaces, the sacred leader of the Golden Lion tribe was also watching the battle in the northernmost land. In just a few years, this young man had grown to such an extent. It was unbelievable. No matter which era it was, there had never been such a terrifying young man. Even the peerless geniuses of the antiquity age could not reach this level. In this era where everything had withered, such a genius had appeared in the human race. Was it a sign of great prosperity or a final radiance before destruction? On the central altar of the sorcerer tribe's sacred ground, Tian Xen looked into the distance quietly. Her expression was complicated. She hoped that she had not made the wrong choice. In the purple scale abyss in the southern continent, a powerful imperial aura slowly gathered. After a few breaths, a powerful palm energy broke through the air. It traveled across time and space and swept toward the battlefield in the north. In the northernmost land, the dual demon battlefield had reached the most critical moment of the battle. The dual demon cultivation bodies had reached the peak of their lives. At this moment, a terrifying palm energy came from afar. Without any warning, it blasted toward Ning Ming, who was in the middle of the battle. The sudden palm attack was dangerous. Ning Chen instinctively swung his sword to meet it. With a loud boom, the ghost sword flew out of his hand and flew hundreds of feet away. In an instant, the Seven Brilliance Demon Emperor's expression turned serious. He took a step forward and sent a heavy palm strike toward Ning Chen. Boom! Ning Chen grunted as the heavy palm hit him. He flew hundreds of feet away, stumbling and vomiting blood. With the Scale Emperor's intervention, the situation of the battle took a turn for the worse. 300 feet away, Ning Chen barely managed to stabilize himself. Blood dripped from the corner of his mouth. His body had reached its limit. 13, you're done for. In front of him, the 7 Brilliance Demon Emperor said coldly. He walked forward step by step, raised his right palm, and slammed it down. Ning Chen raised his head and looked at the Demon Emperor in front of him. A hint of emotion flashed in his tired eyes. Had his body finally reached its limit? Ha! Ning Chen gathered the last of his energy. He raised his hand, and an unprecedented power spread out. The entire world changed color instantly. Time and space were quickly sealed. The world turned into a cage, trapping the heavenly Demon Emperor. This is... The 7 Brilliance Demon Emperor sensed something. He was shocked. An ancient superpower. How was this possible? Only the ancient god fiends knew superpower arts. Where did the 13 learn them? The 7 Brilliance Demon Emperor was restrained by the sudden change. He couldn't break free for a while. With the last of his strength and will, Ning Chen clenched his right hand. 100 feet away, the ghost sword vibrated and flew back quickly. As the swordsman held the sword, Ning Chen's aura changed instantly. He and the sword became one, and the sword shook the world. It was a sword that had shocked both the past and the present. Ning Chen moved and the sword moved. The sword light illuminated the dark world. It was a shocking scene. The ghost's sword penetrated his body. Blood spurted out and covered his eyes. With the last of his strength exhausted, Ning Chen's consciousness quickly dissipated. The 1,000 demons took the lead and quickly left with the severely injured knowing destiny. Boom! In an instant, the 7 Brilliance Demon Emperor unleashed his power and shattered the cage. He vomited a mouthful of blood, which dyed the ground in front of him red. Blood kept dripping from his chest, dyeing his body red. Ugh! The 7 Brilliance Demon Emperor staggered. He was severely injured in the fierce battle and couldn't catch up. Tens of thousands of miles away, demonic chi surged. Knowing destiny fell from the sky and landed on the ground. In Ning Chen's sea of chi, the 1,000 demons had exhausted their energy. They fell into a deep sleep and couldn't hold on any longer. In the extreme battle, knowing destiny gave it his all. While severely injuring the heavenly Demon Emperor, he was also severely injured. In front of the central altar in the northern continent, the dark moon witch queen appeared and half knelt. My emperor! He's in the pine forest. On the central altar, Tian Xian said softly. The dark moon witch queen's eyes flashed with surprise. She nodded and left. Half a day later, the dark moon witch queen appeared in the pine forest and walked forward step by step. In the snow-covered pine forest, knowing destiny's demonic body lay on the ground. Blood flowed from his body, dyeing the snow red. The dark moon witch queen went forward and looked at the unconscious body in front of her with a complicated expression. His brilliance was too dazzling. Going against the tide and killing immortals, fighting against emperors. It was unbelievable. No one would believe it if they didn't see it with their own eyes. After a moment of silence, the dark moon witch queen raised her hand to help the former up. At that moment, heaven and earth spirit chi surged out around knowing destiny and turned into giant dragons that circled around him. The divergent yellow secret technique protected its master. The 8 dragons roared and couldn't get closer. The dark moon witch queen retreated 30 meters. She looked at the young man in front of her quietly and said, I mean you no harm. After a short moment of silence, the 8 dragons around knowing destiny gradually dispersed and returned to the world. The dark moon witch queen stepped forward again and carefully helped the young man in front of her up. She gathered her chi and injected it into the latter's body. In his coma, knowing destiny's furrowed brows gradually relaxed. Chapter 1295. In the pine forest of the northern continent, the dark moon witch empress appeared and helped knowing destiny heal. Ning Chen's demonic aura was exhausted, and his body was severely injured. The aftereffects of thousands of demons entering his body were gradually showing. His injuries are so serious. After healing for a long time, the dark moon witch empress expression became more serious. She restrained her aura, helped Ning Chen up, and walked forward step by step. In the west, the sun was setting, and night was about to fall. Not far away, In a quiet cave, the Dark Moon Witch Empress helped the severely injured Ningchen out. She found a flat ground and carefully put him down. A bonfire was lit, crackling in the night. The Dark Moon Witch Empress walked out of the cave to look for great medicine for healing. In the pine forest, the white snow bent the branches of the pine trees. The Dark Moon Witch Empress walked in the forest, looking for great medicine seriously. Not far away, in the cave where the bonfire was burning, the space formation pattern on Ningchen's shoulder flickered, and the small gourd flew out. It looked at Ningchen with tears in its big bright eyes. "Immortal Elder, please be safe." The small gourd bit its finger, and blood seeped out of its fingertip. It carefully stuffed the blood into Ningchen's mouth. When the blood entered his mouth, it quickly turned into spirit chi and entered Knowing Destiny's body. The power of the great medicine spread along his meridians, quickly healing Knowing Destiny's severely injured body. The small gourd waited at the side, its big eyes unblinking, looking pitiful. About an hour later, footsteps sounded outside, getting closer and closer. In front of Ningchen, the small gourd came back to its senses and wanted to go back. "No need to hide, I've seen you." The Dark Moon Witch Empress walked in and looked at the small gourd. She said softly, "If I knew he had such a spirit root, I wouldn't have gone out to look for medicine." The small gourd hid behind Ningchen timidly, not daring to speak. The Dark Moon Witch Empress smiled gently and walked forward. She dissolved the great medicine she found and carefully injected it into Ningchen's body. "Immortal Elder, are you all right?" The tiny gourd asked carefully from the side, and its large eyes were filled with worry. "He's fine," the Dark Moon Witch Empress replied. "Then when will he wake up?" the small gourd asked softly. The Dark Moon Witch Empress walked to the bonfire and added some dry wood. She said gently, "Are you worried about him?" "Yes," the little gourd replied softly. "How long have you been following him?" the Dark Moon Witch Queen asked. The little gourd raised its little head and thought for a moment before whispering, "It's been a long, long time." The 13th prince is truly an incomprehensible person. The Dark Moon Witch Empress sighed softly. An immortal vine was such a great herb. How could an ordinary person keep it by their side? In this world, there were at most 3 immortal vines that had developed intelligence. In fact, there were not even 2 of them. As long as this medicine was consumed, it was very likely that the humans would have a 4th ruler. The monarch realm was a realm of cultivation that made all the cultivators in the world go mad for. This 13th crown prince had clearly found a shortcut, yet he was able to guard his heart and remain unmoved. He was truly extraordinary. Don't expose yourself when there are strangers around. Do you understand? The Dark Moon Witch Queen reminded. Yes. The little gourd nodded. It knew that it was an immortal vine, and there were countless people who wanted to eat it. Only by following the immortal would it be the safest. While the 2 of them were talking, Ningchen's eyes slowly opened beside the campfire. After a brief moment of confusion, he quickly recovered his clarity. "Immortal Elder is awake." The little gourd immediately flew up and asked worriedly, "Immortal Elder, how are you?" "I'm fine," Ningchen replied softly. He looked at the woman in front of the campfire and said calmly, "Thank you. You might not be able to go back now." The Dark Moon Witch Empress said in front of the campfire. "I understand." Ningchen nodded. Now that the passage between the 2 realms must be heavily guarded, it would be very difficult for him to break through in his current state. The world knows about your battle with the 7 Brilliance Demon Emperor. Now, the entire primordial demon realm sees you as a great threat, especially the Heavenly Devil Imperial family. They'll kill you at all costs. Therefore, you'll be in great danger if you stay, the Dark Moon Witch Empress reminded him. There's always a way out. It won't be that easy for them to take my life, Ningchen said indifferently. Next time, it might be the Scaled Emperor or even the first Kunyi Demon Emperor himself. Your current body isn't enough to deal with a battle of this level, the Dark Moon Witch Empress said seriously. Thank you for the reminder, Witch Empress. Ningchen looked at the dark sky outside the cave and said calmly, "If I can't beat them, I'll hide. If I can't hide, I'll run. The primordial demon realm is so big. Unless they destroy this great world, I'll have a way to deal with them even if they attack. Something like that doesn't seem to come from someone like you, 13th Prince, the Dark Moon Witch Empress said with a surprised look on her face. There's nothing to be surprised about. If I want to live, I have to give up some things. For example, pride. Ning Chen's expression was calm as he said, in the past, I was also a person who would rather break than bend, unwilling to be flexible in the slightest. Later, after suffering too many losses, I gradually changed. The Dark Moon Witch Empress fell silent and sighed softly in her heart. It wasn't that he changed, but that he had the responsibility to live on. The atmosphere in the cave quieted down. The two of them didn't speak anymore. They sat there quietly, each thinking about something. On the side, the little calabash sat obediently on the calabash that was bigger than it was. Its big eyes glanced at the two of them from time to time as it giggled. Outside the cave, time passed bit by bit. In the east, dawn arrived. A wisp of white appeared. Gradually, a ray of dawn scattered, dispelling the darkness of the world. All right, since you're fine now, I'll go back. In front of the bonfire, the Dark Moon Witch Empress stood up and walked out of the cave. Behind her, Ning Chen looked at the back of the Dark Moon Witch Empress. His dark eyes deepened. Immortal Elder, I'm sleepy. The little calabash flew up to Ning Chen's shoulder and said softly, Ning Chen nodded and stood up to walk out. Outside the cave, the first rays of dawn scattered on the ground. It was so bright and beautiful that it was intoxicating. Ning Chen walked out, step by step in the snow. He was in a surprisingly good mood. It had been a long time since he felt so relaxed. On his shoulder, a cold wind blew. The little calabash quivered and its sleepiness disappeared immediately. Immortal Elder, I'm not sleepy again, the little calabash said embarrassedly. Come down if you want to play, Ning Chen said softly. Hearing that, the little calabash nodded and flew down on its calabash. Figures with powerful auras arrived from all directions of the green bamboo forest. Every one of them was above the king realm. The Scaled Clan and the Heavenly Demon Clan had joined forces and sent out all their experts to search for knowing destiny. Immortal Elder, it seems like someone is coming. On the snow, the little calabash felt a strong pressure from afar and said fearfully, It's okay. Ning Chen said calmly, They can't beat me. But Immortal Elder is injured. The little calabash looked up and said, Ning Chen said calmly. The little calabash was relieved to hear that. The fear on its face disappeared and it continued to play by itself. Outside the green pine forest, figures passed by one after another. They released their divine senses and covered the entire forest. In the forest, Ning Chen sensed something and ignored it. He continued to walk forward with the little calabash. At the same time, in the 9th Underworld King's residence in the 3 Imperial City, demonic chi surged and the small world collapsed. Two figures appeared at the same time. The two emperors were covered in blood. The monarch of the demons and the pride of the heavenly demons, the two strongest people in the world, looked at each other and left. Jiyo, never forget that you are the emperor of the heavenly demons. This is a fact that cannot be changed. Whether you want to admit it or not, this is the reality. In the king's residence, the first demon emperor's voice echoed for a long time. In the king's palace, Shen Jiyo looked at the first demon emperor's back coldly. He didn't care and stepped out to the north. In the northern continent, in the snow-covered green pine forest, Ning Chen walked east with the little calabash, leaving a long line of footprints behind. Immortal Elder, can we go back? The little calabash asked while playing with a snowball. It's not easy, Ning Chen said honestly, but it's not impossible. Immortal Elder, you must be careful. You can't get injured again. The little calabash said seriously. Ning Chen nodded and looked at the eastern sky. Actually, I'm a little homesick. Home was where she was. It was too cold here. Just as knowing destiny was heading east, in the Ziwei Galaxy, Underworld, King Bianqing's palace. Qing Ning stood in front of the palace and looked into the distance. Sister Qing Ning. At some point, appeared. She looked at the sky and said, I miss Master. Me too, Qing Ning said softly. Will Master be okay? Ungo was worried. He won't. Qing Ning shook her head. Your master knows that we are waiting for him, so he will protect himself at all costs. Okay, master is so powerful. He will be fine. Calmed down and comforted herself. Go and accompany your mistress when you have time. She is the most worried when your master is not around, Qing Ning said softly. Okay. Nodded slightly. She shifted her gaze and looked at impermanent hall in front of her. There was some confusion in her eyes as she asked, Sister Qing Ning, little mistress likes master so much. Why can't the two of them get together? His heart can't handle so many emotions. Qing Ning sighed softly and said, You don't understand the era your master lived in. In times of chaos, love is the most important. It's already not easy to protect the people around you. Emotions are often just wishful thinking. Nodded her head as if she understood. She seemed to understand, but she was even more confused. In the primordial demon realm, in the northern continent, in the pine forest, figures flew over. The aura of kings shook the earth. On the snowy ground, Ning Chen clenched his right hand and the ghost sword appeared. The ghost sword moved and sword light filled the sky. At the front, a king was cut in half. Blood spurted out and scattered all over the sky. Under the morning light, the blood dyed the snow red. It was beautiful. Chapter 1296. In the primal demon realm, in the northern polar region, Ning Chen attacked and opened a path to hell with his sword. Blood splattered everywhere and dyed the pine forest red. A king died, and his soul returned to heaven and earth. The sudden change scared the little gourd. It immediately flew to Ning Chen's shoulder and hid. A few seconds later, figures appeared in the sky above the pine forest. Their king's aura spread and sealed off all paths of retreat. Ning Chen walked alone in the pine forest. Blood dripped from the ghost sword in his hand and dyed the snowy path. Kill! At his command, the heavenly demon kings from all over the pine forest rushed over with murderous intent. Ning Chen's expression didn't change at all. The ghost sword moved, one strike after another, simple and ruthless. Spears broke and halberds shattered. The 6 paths of reincarnation was unstoppable. Despite being besieged by so many devils, Ning Chen's footsteps didn't slow down at all. Sword after sword, he forcefully carved out a bloody path. In the heavenly demon ancestral land, the first demon emperor looked to the north with murderous intent in his eyes. I didn't expect that even you couldn't kill him. The 13th strength has exceeded our expectations. The 7 brilliance demon emperor opened his eyes and said, He's so strong even though he hasn't reached the imperial level. He reminds me of Joyo, the first demon emperor said. The only good news is that he can't maintain his imperial level strength for a long time. Now that he's heavily injured, we can definitely take his life if we surround him, the 7 brilliance demon emperor said coldly. More and more heavenly demon troops gathered around the pine forest. Countless overlords rushed over and surrounded the 13th prince. At this moment, a bell rang in the center of the pine forest. It echoed for thousands of miles. This is... In the sky, the heavenly demons' auras stagnated. They had a splitting headache. The moment the bell rang, a sword light flashed across the sky and slashed the bodies of 10 heavenly demons in half. Shattered blood and bones fell from the sky, quickly turning into a bloody rain under the sound of the bell, filling the sky with mist. In the pine forest, the knowing destiny demonic body was walking alone. The Donghuang bell was above his head and the 6 paths of reincarnation was in his hand. Donghuang bell. In the heavenly demon ancestral land, the 7 brilliance demon emperor's expression darkened. It was this bell again. Why would the supreme treasure of the eastern deity realm be in the hands of the 13 sons? Let the scaled emperor do it, the 7 brilliance demon emperor said in a deep voice. No. 9 Nether has already left the imperial city. Once the scaled emperor makes a move, 9 Nether will definitely not sit idly by. At that time, with 9 Nether's protection, no one will be able to kill this kid. The 7 brilliance demon emperor's expression darkened. He said, What do you think we should do? Tell Xuanqi to come back. My primordial demon realm best sword is not inferior to anyone, First Demon Emperor Kuan said indifferently. Understood. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor nodded slightly. His mysterious cultivation was extremely close to the Emperor realm. On top of that, his unparalleled cultivation in the Sword Dao was more than enough to suppress his 13 disciples. In front of the heavenly demon encampment in the Red Phoenix Galaxy, an illusory figure walked out. The demonic royal token appeared and flew toward the 4th heavenly demon prince. Xian Qi stopped and took the demon royal token. His expression turned serious. 13th son? It's him again. Azura, I'm going back. Xian Qi glanced at the war god of the demon race not far away and said, Okay. Azura nodded and said, Be careful. Xian Qi nodded and did not say anything else. He left with his sword. In the primordial demon realm, above the 5 continents, many figures flew past and headed toward the far north. All the kings had come out to kill the 13th prince of the heavenly demon realm. In the far north, in the endless pine forest, Ningchen was traveling east. The snowy path behind him was stained with blood. In the sky above the eastern continent, the Golden Light King looked toward the north. His face was filled with murderous intent. You guys stay here. The Golden Light King glanced at the kings behind him. He stepped into the air and headed north. In the far north, in the sky above the pine forest, golden light spread for 30,000 miles. The Golden Light King crossed 2 continents and rushed toward them. In the pine forest, Ningchen raised his head and looked at the woman who was rushing toward him. He swung his sword and faced the enemy. 1,000 miles, 10,000 miles, 100,000 miles. The sword light flew across the void and slashed toward the Golden Light King. In the sky above the endless ocean, the Golden Light King snorted coldly. His slender hand gathered yuan and blocked the sword light. The 2 kings fought again, crossing a great distance. The Golden Light King blocked the sword and did not stop. He gathered yuan into his palm and struck out. His powerful counterattack shook the heavens and the earth. In the pine forest, Ningchen raised his head and stepped forward. Snowflakes filled the sky around him and turned into a huge white snow dragon. The dragon roared in the sky and its power swallowed the heavens and the earth. The Golden Light demonic might and the Qi Huang secret technique collided. The clouds in the sky changed drastically. The battle between the far north and the far north was shocking. Between the two, the heavens and the earth rumbled for a long time. The 13th prince of the heavenly demon realm could not stop him. 1 man and 1 sword, he was invincible. The situation was completely tilted. The swordsmen were discussing the sword, and the world was watching. Burning heart, devouring moon. Boundless demonic yuan condensed into a sword. Instantly, the stars in the sky lit up and a bright moon appeared. Demonic yuan soared into the sky, devouring the cold moon from the 9 heavens. He was the strongest king, and his sword moved the world. The aura of an emperor was beginning to appear. At that moment, all the experts in the various continents of the primordial demon realm looked towards the distant sea. Shock filled their faces. Could the celestial demons have another emperor? In the depths of the celestial demon ancestral land, Demon Emperor Kuan Yi stood in the sky, watching the battle in the distance. A rare ripple flashed through his eyes. Xian Qi, the 13th prince will be the best test for you before you reach the emperor path. The world watched the battle. In the endless sea, the battle between the 2 kings became more and more intense. The king's swords clashed, and the demonic aura shook the sky. 9 Brahma demonic flames moved the world. There was no holding back in the battle of swords. Xian Qi used all his power. His ultimate martial arts shone, and his demonic flames soared into the sky. The martial arts of Buddha and demon appeared for the first time. 9 black lotuses appeared in the sky. The moment the lotuses bloomed and withered, the demonic flames burned the world. The world turned into hell. It was an unprecedented power. The clouds in the 9 heavens changed. On the surface of the sea, black flames spread. Even the sea that was incompatible with fire and water burned. In front of him, Ning Chen's expression turned serious. This aura was the emperor path. Ning Chen's eyes immediately turned cold. His hand that was dripping blood clenched the ghost sword. He forced the demonic yuan in his body to destroy the demonic cultivator's path. Ha! In the sky above the sea, two earth-shattering roars sounded. In order to protect their paths, the two demons used all their power. Endless demonic yuan spread out and dyed the sky black. Sword. 11. Ning Chen stepped forward. His body was like the void. He formed a sword with his fingers, and thousands of miles of water swords soared into the sky. Nirvana. At the same time, the ghost sword in Ning Chen's hand changed direction. The sword used nirvana. It was magnificent. The two swords appeared at the same time and merged into one. The sword flow roared and rushed forward. Boom! The ultimate martial arts collided. 9 lotuses destroyed the world. The terrifying destructive power spread. The ultimate martial arts sword collapsed. The aftermath shook. The water sword scattered. Ning Chen's body suffered a backlash. He flew hundreds of feet away, and his body was dyed red. The unshakable demonic sword was in front of him. He was invincible in the world. Blood dripped down. His strength was almost gone. It would be extremely difficult for them to grow through battle after battle. The 13 might be an anomaly. However, if Xian Qi killed him, the highest evaluation that could be written in the world would only be sword testing stone. The winner takes all. Although it was cruel, it was the reality. Brother, what do you think are Xian Qi's chances of winning? 7 Brilliance Demonic Emperor asked seriously. 100%. First Demonic Emperor Kun replied. This guy's body has reached its limit. He can't reach the state he was in when he fought you. On the contrary, Xian Qi is at the peak of his life. His sword cultivation and battle intent are flawless. No one can stop him from killing the 13 and reaching the ultimate path. The 13 has cultivated the divergent yellow secret technique and has the Donghuang Bell, the ultimate treasure of the Eastern deity realm. I'm worried that Xian Qi will be at a disadvantage because of this, 7 Brilliance Demonic Emperor said. External objects are useless in front of absolute power. As long as Xian Qi can reach the ultimate path, a broken Donghuang Bell is nothing to worry about. As for the divergent yellow secret technique, it's just a small trick. It's not worth mentioning, First Demonic Emperor Kun said calmly. Hearing this, 7 Brilliance Demonic Emperor was less worried. He looked at the battle in the distance, waiting for the decisive moment. Under the eyes of the world, the battle between the two demons above the boundless ocean had reached its climax. Dazzling sword lights crisscrossed endlessly. The kings were all displaying their shocking abilities. Boom, boom, boom. Loud rumbles sounded between heaven and earth. Below, huge waves surged into the sky. It was an immeasurable battle. In the battle, the royal aura became clearer. Golden light gradually appeared around Xian Qi. The brilliance of the path was dazzling. Ha! His opponent's brilliance could no longer be suppressed. Ning Chen yelled. He couldn't suppress his anger anymore. His black hair danced wildly like a demon. When the demon was angry, his madness devoured his heart. The demon's instinct gradually suppressed his rationality. His eyes dimmed. You're more like a demon than a demon. Xian Qi stepped forward. Demonic flames surged on the heart-burning sword. Shocking royal aura spread out, causing the ocean within 100,000 miles to sink 100 feet. The path of the path was close. Xian Qi's aura rose endlessly. It surpassed the king realm and was infinitely close to the legendary sovereign Dao. Demons are the same as humans. Ning Chen waved his sword. His sword moves gradually stopped. Each move returned to its original state. The origin of the sword was fast, accurate, and focused. At the beginning of learning martial arts, the simplest swinging of the sword and thrusting of the sword without any moves was better than hundreds or thousands of moves. Xian Qi sensed the change in his opponent. His eyes flashed with surprise. Demonic qi surged out of his body. He unleashed all his power. The light around the first sword of the demon race, which was like a demonic sun, continued to spread, covering 100,000 miles. Inside the demonic light, knowing destiny demonic body stood still. He had used up all of his energy. They were two completely different extremes. The two raised their swords and slashed down. A simple sword move collided. In an instant, cracks appeared in the space above the ocean. The cracks quickly spread. 1,000 miles, 10,000 miles, 100,000 miles. The most terrifying sword move was indescribable. It surpassed the king realm and broke into the sovereign Tao. All the experts of the primordial demon realm were stunned, their faces filled with shock. Chapter 1298. In the boundless sea region, the sword competition of kings, returning to nature, shook the world with one sword. The earth-shattering sword cut through the void and destroyed all the laws of the world. The sword technique shook the heavens and the earth. The sword might rushed out and turned everything around the two into nothingness. A pool of blood splashed in the sky. The battle was separated and the situation gradually became clear. Heavy breathing echoed between the heavens and the earth. Sweat dripped from Ning Chen's forehead and mixed with blood, drenching his clothes. In front of him, Xian Qi stood quietly in the void. Demonic qi surged and golden light shone. The sovereign Tao was about to be completed. Burning heart, thousand prison. The great accomplishment of the sword Tao was perfect. Xian Qi pointed his sword at the sky and thousands of swords flew forward quickly. In the most critical battle, Ning Chen held his sword in front of him and blocked the attacks. In an instant, the thousands of swords flew forward. The sovereign might shook the world and was indestructible. Crack. The impact of the sovereign might caused cracks to appear on the 6 paths of reincarnation. The saint artifact of the ghost race could not withstand the sovereign might and finally reached its limit. Arg! The last sword light broke through the obstruction. The remaining power penetrated Ning Chen's body and brought out a fountain of blood. Ning Chen retreated again and was severely injured. Blood splattered everywhere, floating in the void. Drop by drop, it spread throughout the battlefield. 10 steps away, Ning Chen steadied himself. His spiritual consciousness was gradually blurring and he could no longer hold on. The outcome has been decided. In the sorcerer race's holy land, Tian Exen looked at the battle in the distance and sighed. His journey had been so amazing. However, had he reached the end in the end? In the void, Xian Jiuyo stood quietly and looked into the distance. There was no change in his expression. He had come so far. No matter how glorious his past was, if he could not break through his limits in the face of death, all his glory would be buried. The young eagle had to spread its wings eventually. Whether it would soar or fall off a cliff, it would be decided today. It's over. In the battle, Xian Qi stepped forward. His body shone with golden light and the sovereign might shook the sky. In front of him, Ning Chen breathed heavily. He had used up all his energy and his body. He was unwilling and unwilling. How could he stop after coming so far? Ha! Unable to suppress his anger, Ning Chen looked up to the sky and roared. A bloody mist spread out from his body, breaking through the shackles and turning into blood-colored lightning that filled the sky. If he were to choose again in this life, would he still walk down this path of calamity? Ning Chen asked himself, but the answer was already clear. In the horizon, lightning descended from the sky, falling into the void, blasting towards the two people. The two kings had reached the peak of swordsmanship. The heavenly Tao was merciless, and it sent down a catastrophe. Imperial catastrophe and deity catastrophe were the two most terrifying catastrophes in the world. Golden and silver light shone and clashed continuously. Congratulations, demonic emperor of the netherworld. On the altar in the sacred land of the sorcerer race, Tian Exen looked at the two kings in the distance and said, "One race, 4 kings, and a deity plane." It was indeed shocking. Unfortunately, they couldn't coexist. In the void, Xian Jiuyo's eyes shone. He was very satisfied with this disciple. The deity plane was a realm that even he hadn't reached. He didn't expect his disciple to reach it first. Ning Chen, surpass him. Surpass all opponents in front of you, including me. Xian Jiuyo said. His voice echoed throughout the entire primitive demon realm. All the experts in the primitive demon realm looked toward the north. They couldn't suppress the waves in their hearts. In the heavenly demon ancestral land, The two demonic emperors, Kun 1 and 7 luminaries demonic emperors, couldn't stay calm anymore. They looked to the north, watching the battle in the distance with heavy expressions. Xianqi. Kun 1 demonic emperor clenched his fists and said, "Use your sword to kill this kid and prove your path." The two demonic emperors spoke, their voices rumbling. Even the two strongest demonic emperors of the heavenly demon race couldn't stay calm in this battle. In the battle in the north, the battle between the two kings had reached the most critical moment. Above the 9 heavens, the sovereign tribulation and the deity tribulation fell at the same time, drowning the two figures. In the lightning tribulation, 1 gold and 1 silver figure attacked again and again. A simple sword attack had the power to split open the sky. It was a terrifying scene. The battle at the peak of the sword Dao had surpassed the limits of martial arts in the mortal world. In front of the deity plane, all laws were subservient. Powerful, so powerful that it was shocking. The knowing destiny realm, who had gone through thousands of disasters, had broken through and stepped into the realm of the strongest. His name was known throughout the world. Just as the knowing destiny realm stepped into the deity plane, in the outer heavens, on the altar in the reverence moon ancient land, Prince Yen slowly opened his eyes. He felt the familiar sword intent in the distance and woke up from his coma. Above the altar, moonlight gathered, and an incomparably holy figure appeared. It gazed into the distance, looking at the primordial demon realm that was a realm away. "He did it," the moon goddess said softly. The person closest to the gods in the mortal world had finally stepped into the deity plane. Beside her, Prince Yen stood quietly and looked into the distance calmly. There was a flash of relief in his eyes. "Swordsman, the mortal world can no longer withstand your sword. Your sword Dao is in the deity plane." The moon goddess looked sideways at the swordsman not far away and said calmly, "It was a great fortune for the human race to have such a swordsman in the mortal world. Unfortunately, this person's sword could no longer be improved in the mortal world. What kind of existence are gods?" Prince Yen looked over at the god of the moon race and said, "I can feel your power. It's different from others, but it's not strong. I'm not a god who's good at fighting. If you want to find an opponent, there are real strong ones among the gods who can let you fight to your heart's content," the moon goddess said softly. "I'm looking forward to it," Prince Yen said calmly. "This era is different from any other. Perhaps it's time for the gods to come to the mortal world." The moon goddess sighed. When the gods came to the mortal world, it was hard to predict whether it would be good or bad. Although not all the gods were strong, the strong ones among the gods were truly terrifying. The swordsman in front of them would definitely become the target of the gods' interest. A human swordsman who could reach the gods would definitely be a strong one no matter the era. After watching the battle for a long time, Prince Yen waved his hand and put away the sword rack on the altar. "When Ningchen comes back, tell him that I'm leaving. I'm very satisfied with his growth." Below, the high priest of the moon race saluted as he looked at Prince Yan's back. His heart was in turmoil. The high priest's strength had already surpassed the emperor realm. The heavenly Tao was merciless and would not let anyone go easily. It was hard to imagine how terrifying this person's tribulation would be. Outside the reverence moon holy ground, Prince Yen had just walked out when in the starry sky, countless bolts of lightning descended, shaking heaven and earth. In the midst of the lightning, shadows of the ancient immortal realms appeared. Immortal generals and immortal monarchs appeared one after another to kill the heaven-defying swordsman. In the starry sky, Prince Yen acted as if he didn't hear anything and continued to walk forward. The green and red dual swords shone brightly as they crisscrossed and blocked the attacks of the immortals. The absolute sword transcended all laws in the mortal world. Even if the ancient immortal realms appeared, they wouldn't be able to stop the swordsman's footsteps. In the midst of the tribulation, the king's figure gradually disappeared into the distance. His sword light disappeared into the starry sky like an ancient cultivator. In the primal devil realm, in the northern sea, the battle between the two kings had reached its climax. Chapter 1299. In the world of nothingness, at the most critical moment, The ghost sword in Knowing Destiny's hand could not bear the extreme power of the Emperor and shattered. The swordsman broke his sword, and the situation of the battle changed. Demonic flames burned in the sky, and the sword pierced into Knowing Destiny's body, bringing out a fountain of blood. Arg! Ning Chen grunted and stepped back. He gathered essence with his fingers and counterattacked. Silver's sword light crisscrossed, and its power was unparalleled. The sword slashed down, and its murderous intent was shocking. Xianqi focused and pulled out his sword, retreating 100 feet away. Burning heart left Ning Chen's body. Blood spurted out from Ning Chen's chest. A moment later, demonic qi wrapped around the wound and sealed it. Oh! Seeing this, Xianqi narrowed his eyes. After entering the godly realm, the 13th prince's injuries seemed to have healed much faster. In front of him, the silver light in Ning Chen's eyes grew brighter. The godly realm was dazzling. In the sky, tens of thousands of lightning bolts continuously descended around the two of them. The shocking power made it difficult for the collapsed void to repair. Burning heart, heavenly punishment. The sword reached the end. Xianqi shouted, and the demonic sword flew across the sky. Its majestic sovereign might rose to the extreme. Thousands of lightning bolts gathered, and the demonic might shook the world. The heavenly punishment sword's power could destroy the world. Wherever the lightning went, everything was destroyed. 10 feet away, Ning Chen stood quietly. Silver light rose around him. Standing in the godly realm, his sword might was endless. Sword. 13. The sword venerable passed down the teachings. Today, the 13th sword reappeared, and its sword momentum was completely different. It was reborn. In the godly realm, Ning Chen raised his sword, and beams of sword light appeared out of nowhere. Buzz. At this moment, thousands of swords in the primordial demon realm trembled. Under the pressure of countless swords, the thousands of swords turned to dust and disappeared. In the sky above the eastern continent, the king realm sky demons looked at the thousands of swords that turned to dust in shock. Was this the power of the godly realm? It was shocking. In the Jueyang royal city, Gu Xian stood quietly. He looked at the trembling Tai Yin sword and sighed softly. After a few years, his sword had grown to an untouchable level. You have followed me for 100 years. That is enough. Go, Gu Xian said. The moon buzzed, and the blade was unsheathed. It turned into a streak of flowing light and flew into the distance. On the northern battlefield, 13 divine swords flew past. At the same time, from all over the world, streaks of heroic sword qi gathered together. The brilliance was dazzling, and they merged into one. The demonic body looked at the three sovereigns floating in the void and said in a hoarse voice, I've been on the run for so many years. It's enough. Where there's life, there's hope. As long as we leave this place and wait for your injuries to recover, we will definitely be able to make a comeback and quell all the wars. I'm tired. Since you're all awake, I'll leave the rest to you. The demonic body stepped forward. Demonic energy surged around his body. Silver light was faintly discernible, and the brilliance of his divine domain was dazzling. In the middle of the battle, the three sovereigns of the demon realm frowned slightly. The godly realm. This young man had actually set foot in the godly realm again. The divine realm was not the realm of the mortal realm. This boy had only entered it once, and he had already grasped the secret to stepping into the divine realm. Even though you might be in a deep sleep forever after this battle, you still want to fight at all costs? In front of the phoenix demon, Ning Chen turned his head and looked at the demonic body, who was not far away, whose battle intent was rising again. Demons should give their all in battle, the demonic body replied calmly. At the side, the phoenix body fell silent. The demonic body had indeed sacrificed too much during the days when he and his main body were in a deep sleep. The demonic body was belligerent and disliked trickery. All these years, the demonic body had suppressed his nature and kept running around to fight against the primeval demon realm. Now, it was indeed time to let go. If you want to fight, then let's fight. Ning Chen nodded and did not say anything else. His expression gradually became determined. He clenched his right hand, and frost drifted and condensed into a sword. The phoenix body sighed softly and did not say anything else. Phoenix flames lingered around his body, and the red and black sword tip condensed into a fire wave that soared into the 9 layers of clouds. 3 against 3, fair and square. The demonic body suppressed his internal injuries and flipped his right hand. A demonic edge formed by demonic chi appeared. In an instant, endless sword might filled the entire battlefield. 3 bodies against 3 sovereigns. The atmosphere of the battle immediately became tense. In the battlefield, the 3 bodies shone brilliantly, and the terrifying sword might spread. Thousands of swords shocked the 9 states. Such a sword is indeed shocking. No wonder Xuanqi lost. In front of the passage between the 2 realms, the Golden Lion clan's Saint Lord's expression turned serious. He clenched his right fist and golden light shone brightly. On the opposite side, the sovereign of the Scaled clan also activated his vital essence. The sovereign path's precepts circled around him, and the heavens and earth rumbled. All laws prostrated themselves to protect the sovereign path. One with 3 transformations. In the blink of an eye, the battle had turned into dozens of attacks. The Scaled Emperor stood in the void and used the Scaled race's absolute defense to block the Phoenix body's attacks again and again. The 4 divisions deity sealing sword reappeared. With the support of the Yin-Yang Phoenix fire, its power was even stronger than before. Extreme heat and extreme cold alternated. Even someone as strong as the Scaled race sovereign felt uncomfortable. The Phoenix race has been extinct for so many years, and you've obtained the inheritance. 13th son, how many more trump cards are you hiding? The Scaled Emperor turned his palm, and a vast amount of vitality surged. The shocking palm directly collapsed the surrounding void, trying to trap the Phoenix body. The void was destroyed, but the Phoenix body's speed was not affected at all. It moved through the void and rushed toward the Scaled race sovereign. The Scaled Emperor frowned and attacked again. This time, it was even more powerful. At such a close distance, the force of the palm penetrated the Phoenix body. The Phoenix body turned illusory in an instant, but after a short while, it became solid again. Seeing this, the Scaled Emperor was shocked. This was the Phoenix race's secret skill. The sword tip pierced through the void, and the void distorted violently. The Phoenix Fire Divine Sword disappeared. Ugh! Suddenly, the Scaled Emperor let out a muffled groan. Behind the scale armor, the sword tip appeared and directly pierced through the scale armor into the Emperor's body. It was a shocking scene. The Scaled race sovereign retreated continuously, and his blood chi surged violently. Thousands of miles away, the first demon emperor glanced at the battle from the corner of his eyes. His expression was unusually gloomy. Back then, the person who broke into the heavenly demon ancestral land and stole the Phoenix race's destiny was indeed the 13th son. He had been careless. Nurturing a tiger was inviting calamity. In just a few years, the 13th son had grown to such a terrifying extent. In front of the passage between the 2 realms, the Phoenix race's secret skill appeared. It surpassed the speed of heaven and earth, and the space-time secret skill appeared for the first time in the world. With one move, it heavily injured the Scaled race sovereign. Blood dripped from the corner of the Scaled Emperor's mouth. The Phoenix fire in his body spread and kept nibbling at the Emperor's body. I've underestimated you. The Scaled Emperor raised his hand and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. The golden light around his body shone brightly as he suppressed the injuries in his body. Ha! With a deep roar, the shadow of a giant demonic beast appeared behind the Scaled Emperor. A terrifying imperial might swept out and directly crushed the world, turning the battlefield into nothingness. Although he did not want to admit it, he knew very well that the 13th son in front of him was enough to be his opponent. The strength of the Phoenix secret technique was deeply experienced by the sovereign family. In the ancient times, the Phoenixes were a terrifying inheritance that could contend with the heavenly demon imperial family. They relied on the Phoenix's shocking combat strength. In the 2 battles, the Phoenix body and the main body blocked the 2 demonic emperors. In the final battle, the demon body fought the master of the divine capital. The god realm and the imperial path clashed again. The flames of war spread and covered the sky. The strongest emperor in the divine capital was brave and good at fighting all his life. With his powerful combat strength, he fought his way to the sovereign realm. He was a true battle maniac. However, the demon body in the god realm was also fearless. With the demonic edge in his hand, every move had the power to destroy the world. After more than 10 moves, the demon body's hand that was holding the sword kept bleeding. The heavily injured demon body's fighting spirit was even higher. The demon body attacked again and again with unparalleled power. Yuluo waved his sword to block, but his arms gradually became numb. What the shocking swordsman! Your fighting spirit is admirable. Seeing the demon body in front of him fighting crazily, a look of respect flashed across Yuluo's face. He used all his cultivation to deal with the opponent in front of him. As an opponent, the best way to respect an opponent was to use all his strength. The demon body in front of him was worthy of him using all his strength. Ha! With a furious roar, the imperial might shook the 9 heavens. Yuluo waved his crescent blade, and the green light around him rose rapidly. It pierced through the clouds and reached the starry sky. Seeing this, the demon body's extremely tired eyes flashed with relief. He raised his sword and jumped up. Chapter 1301. In the sky above the eastern continent, in front of the passage between the 2 realms, the 3 bodies of knowing destiny were fighting against the 3 sovereigns. The master of Shindu was extremely powerful. The crescent moon was in the sky, and endless imperial laws gathered. The blade pierced through the starry sky and slashed at the devil body of knowing destiny. The battle reached its climax. The devil body's eyes were burning with fighting spirit. He stepped forward and flew into the sky. The devil blade turned 1,000 times. Behind him, the 8 dragons roared. The boundless spiritual chi of heaven and earth gathered from all directions. The devil might shook the heavens and the earth. The devil body regained his consciousness and his fighting spirit soared. The devil body gathered his sword and slashed. The spirit of heaven and earth condensed, and there was only one sword left in the world. It was dazzling. The divine might of the saber and sword moved the world. When the 2 extreme powers collided, a terrifying and abnormal power shook the world. The shocking power pushed everyone back. The aftermath of the battle between the 3 sides roared. The 3 bodies of knowing destiny and the 3 sovereigns of the demonic territory all took a few steps back. The severely injured devil body's mouth was red. He was severely injured again. 10 steps away, the devil body steadied himself. His fighting spirit was burning like the devil's sun. In the face of life and death, the devil body was fearless. He only wanted to fight to his heart's content. In the other 2 battles, Ning Chen and the phoenix body felt the devil body's determination. They remained silent and used all their skills to stop the 2 sovereigns of the demonic territory. They helped the devil body fulfill his last wish. Standing in the divine territory, the silver light around the devil body became brighter. He quickly suppressed his injuries and took a step forward. The battle began again. In the blink of an eye, the sword was as fast as lightning. Its power could destroy the heavens and the earth. In the blink of an eye, the demonic edge and the long saber collided. Behind the demonic body, a huge fire character appeared. With the support of the Sky Demon secret technique, the attack was like fire. The devil might attacked, and the master of Shindu took half a step back. The crescent moon saber shone with green light again. At the same time, he attacked his opponent with his palm. As the emperor's might approached, the demon body did not retreat. Instead, it advanced. With a shout, the demon body, which was several thousand feet tall, appeared. The rolling devil vitality roared and surged. He punched the sovereign might with his fist. The top powerhouses in the world fought, attacking and defending. Every move was thrilling. He sought battle wholeheartedly and was filled with courage. Even if he disregarded life and death, the sword in his hand was a peerless divine weapon that could cut through the darkness. Ha! A deafening roar reverberated through the universe. The transcendence of his mental state created a shocking sword. Amidst the sword sound, the winds and clouds of the 9 heavens changed rapidly. The calamity of the divine realm descended upon the world once again. The unfinished tribulation was even more powerful than before. Dazzling lightning split open the void and directly descended on the battlefield. With a loud bang, the lightning engulfed the demonic body. Under the shocked gaze of the kings, the demonic body rushed out from the passage between the 2 realms. His body was shining with silver light. His body was traveling in the lightning. In a split second, life and death were separated. With the Inanata sword, all of the demonic body's combat instincts were raised. Perception, speed, and strength were all perfectly combined. 10,000 thunderbolts were unable to touch the body. Outside the thunderstorm, the Lord of God Capital squinted his eyes as he looked at the celestial demon 13 scions in front of him. Was this the power of the divine realm? It was truly terrifying. According to legend, only the gods could step into this realm, and it could greatly increase a cultivator's battle prowess. It had always been a realm that all cultivators in the world pursued. Unfortunately, for countless years, almost no one had been able to step into it. The celestial demon 13 scions in front of him had only cultivated for slightly more than 100 years, and they had already broken into the divine realm. Such an opponent could never be allowed to leave. If a tiger were to return to the mountain, there would be endless trouble. He knew this better than anyone else. In the void, amidst 10,000 thunderbolts, the demonic body rushed out. The demonic sword pierced through the air, and its sharpness became more and more shocking. The saber and the sword clashed again. The long saber and the demonic sword crisscrossed, and the extreme sharpness was shocking. Whoosh! After 100 moves, the demonic sword slashed across the left arm of the Lord of God Capital. His armor was torn, and blood splattered. It was the first time he saw red. With his left arm injured, Yulu's expression turned gloomy. He condensed vitality in his right fist and punched his opponent away. The demonic body was unable to dodge the punch in time. He flew 100 feet away and staggered to a stop in front of Yulu. His body that was gradually collapsing could not withstand the power of the divine realm. Although his perception was still sensitive, his body's reaction was no longer synchronized. This physical body. Blood dripped from the corner of the demonic body's mouth. A hint of regret flashed in his exhausted eyes. Had he finally reached his limit? What a pity! The demonic body's desire to fight was still strong. However, the weakness of his body clearly told him that this battle was coming to an end. Seeing this, Yulu's eyes flashed. It seemed that the heavenly demon 13 had reached his limit. For more than 10 days, he had been constantly hunted down by the heavenly demons. Coupled with the peak battle with mysterious fantasy, his body was already unable to withstand it. It was admirable that he could persist until now with his willpower. Have you reached your limit? Yulu asked calmly. No matter how satisfying the battle is, there will be an end. It's enough that you've come this far. As soon as he finished speaking, the spiritual chi around the demonic body suddenly became violent. Above the 9 heavens, mysterious fantasy sensed it. Thunderclouds rolled crazily, and layers of lightning fell, bombarding the demonic body below. Ha! With a long shout, the demonic body's hair and eyebrows all shone with a silver brilliance. His strength rose again, and the billowing demonic essence continued to spread. The entire world seemed to freeze. In the depths of the divine realm, waves of demonic might shook around the demonic body. It was a shocking scene, and it shook the world. In the distance, the main body and the demonic body looked back. The 3 bodies were united, and their expressions became serious. Sword technique, 3 lights shine together. At the critical moment, in the 3-way battle, the 3 bodies of the knowing destiny realm moved at the same time. 3 swords soared into the sky, and the dazzling brilliance broke through the clouds, illuminating the world. The incomparably powerful sword might spread. The 3 sovereigns of the demonic realm's expression changed. They fully activated their techniques, and the golden light shone brightly. In the next moment, in front of the passage between the 2 realms, an earth-shattering collision sounded. The terrifying power spread, drowning everything in sight. Boom! The aftershock hit, and demonic blood splattered all over the sky. After the final attack, the demonic body flew out and fell from the sky. In the distant battle, the phoenix flames spread. The phoenix body swept past and caught the falling demonic body. In front of them, in the aftershock of the violent impact, a muffled groan sounded. Yulu's mouth was red, and he took a few steps back. Blood kept dripping from the hand holding the blade. The demonic body's final attack had severely injured the master of the divine capital. The battle ended. In the void, Ningchen slapped out, shaking off the battle. He glanced at the phoenix body not far away and said, "It's time to end this." The phoenix body nodded and flew up. After the huge phoenix wings appeared, one black and one red, and the phoenix flames burned the sky and boiled the sea. Sun scroll, 9 suns burning the sky. The phoenix sword turned, and the 9 suns coiled up. The phoenix body used the power of the transforming heavenly book, burning the 9 suns and illuminating the 9 heavens. The extreme yang appeared, and the phoenix body's left palm condensed the origin of the black phoenix. Yin power spread, and the Mahist celestial technique appeared in the world again. Celestial technique, waxing and waxing. The sun and moon were in the sky, and the power was incomparably majestic. In the void, the black moon and the red sun kept circling, and the terrifying power clashed with each other. The world rumbled and shook continuously. The phoenix body showed its extreme power, and the shocking power broke through the limit. The power of yin and yang appeared, and the Tai Chi formation appeared above the 9 heavens. Not far away, Ningchen raised his hand and shouted. Frost gushed out from the sky. The open heavenly book scroll, birth as the beginning, and the power was endless. Heaven and earth appeared at the same time, and the light of the blade and the shadow of the sword spread. In an instant, the blade and the sword disappeared. There was no life in heaven and earth, and the 4 scrolls opened at the same time. Behind Ningchen, the vision of the beginning of the chaos appeared. Thousands of lightning bolts split the chaos world. The 4 scrolls opened, and blood dripped from Ningchen's body. He pushed himself to the limit, and the divine scroll opened again. In an instant, in the chaos world, a divine shadow descended from the sky. His hands moved yin and yang, and his divine power shook the world. Divine scroll, yin and yang separation. With the support of the 4 scrolls, the divine scroll was earth-shattering. The light of yin and yang spread around Ningchen, and an indescribably terrifying power rose, shocking the entire primordial demon realm. What happened? All the strong cultivators in the primordial demon realm looked at the sky, shocked. In the sky, night and day were constantly changing. The unprecedented scene made everyone feel fear in their hearts. The sky is going to be destroyed. It's the end. Among the common people, there were cries of fear. Countless people knelt down and kowtowed to the east, praying that the heavens would not destroy the world. On the central altar in the sacred land of the sorcerer tribe, Tian Xen looked at the battlefield in the east with a shocked expression. The heavenly book was a legendary martial technique that could change the creation of heaven and earth. On the battlefield in the east, the 2 bodies of the knowing destiny realm worked together, and day and night were reversed. The shocking scene made the 3 emperors' expressions turn dark. Work together to stop them. The Lord of the Divine Capital shouted, suppressing the injuries in his body. In the distance, the Emperor of Scales and the Lord of the Sacred Region flashed and arrived in front of the passage between the 2 realms. Golden light surged, and their true forms appeared. The phenomenon of returning to their ancestors, and 3 huge shadows appeared in the sky. The imperial aura soared, and the pressure rose again. Everyone watched as the 2 terrifying forces approached each other. In an instant, they collided. Boom! There was a shocking explosion. In front of the passage between the 2 realms, heaven and earth disappeared. Spatial turbulence surged, swallowing all the light. In the turbulence, there was an earth-shattering cry of a phoenix. Phoenix fire spread, and a huge shadow of a phoenix spread its wings and flew toward the passage between the 2 realms. At this moment, the Lord of the Divine Capital appeared in front of them, blocking the path. If they lost their only chance, they would not be able to leave. At this moment, the phoenix did not stop. In the sky full of phoenix fire, its figure dissipated and disappeared. In the blink of an eye, the phoenix appeared behind the lord of the divine capital. It entered the passage and disappeared. The sudden change shocked Yulu. He looked back at the phoenix that entered the passage. It was too late to stop it. Secret space-time technique. In front of them, the Emperor of Scales and the Western Saint Lord walked out of the turbulent aftermath. They looked at the passage between the two realms with heavy expressions. They did not expect that they would not be able to stop this person even if they personally took action. They had let the tiger return to the mountain and the dragon return to the sea. In the future, it would be even more difficult to kill the 13 sons of the heavenly demon. 10,000 miles away from the passage between the two realms, Xian Jiuyo felt that the battle in the distance had ended. He pushed the first demon emperor away with his spear. He looked into the distance and sighed softly. This was all he could do. He would have to walk the rest of the path by himself. In the Red Phoenix Galaxy, in the passage between the two realms, phoenix fire spread. A huge shadow of a phoenix rushed out and traveled 10,000 miles. The two figures appeared at the same time. Without saying anything, they rushed toward the Z-Way Galaxy. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.